American comics, starting with Superman. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 176, Shazam. Justice League Earth Headquarters. Leo was bored and slumped in his office chair, enjoying Fiora massaging his shoulders and legs. Alert, an unidentified man in black has appeared in the Metropolis subway. Cyborg transmitted the surveillance footage to the screen in Leo's office. Man in black. Leo looked up, his face suddenly stiffening. The man in black was dressed entirely in black, with a cape and a golden lightning pattern on his chest. He was Black Adam. Leo quickly recognized Black Adam's identity. As Captain Marvel's #1 rival, Leo naturally recognized him. Superman's voice came from the communication channel. Metropolis subway station, I'll be there right away. After all, this is Metropolis, and Superman, as Metropolis's superhero, will of course rush there as soon as possible. Leo also connected to the League Justice's communication channel and said to Superman, Clark, be careful. They seem to be able to use magic. Huh? What's wrong with magic, Leo? You always say I can't resist the power of magic. I think it's time to prove it. A sonic boom came from the communicator, and it was Superman accelerating into flight, appearing in the subway station in an instant. At the subway station, Black Adam rushed into the crowd. He had a clear feeling that the magic seed was somewhere, but with so many people around, it would take some time to find it. Where is the magic seed? Black Adam's eyes darted through the crowd until he spotted a young boy in a red shirt. A faint magical aura emanated from him. Found it, a greedy glint flashed in Black Adam's eyes. He rushed out, smashing a pillar along the way, sending the crowd screaming and fleeing. Billy Batson, a young boy, was searching for an exit when he suddenly realized the attackers were flying towards him, sensed the other person's murderous intent, a desire to kill. His attention was momentarily distracted, and Black Adam had already flown in front of Billy. He grinned, raised his fist, and prepared to bring it down on Billy's head. Just then, another sonic boom echoed, and the red cape vanished into a shadow, crashing into Black Adam, sending him flying and crashing through the subway station ceiling. Once outside, Black Adam's power erupted, and he violently broke free from Superman's grasp. Superman's face froze. In that instant, he felt a tingling sensation in his palms, like an electric shock, something he had never felt before. Was he truly defenseless against magic? Who are you, and why are you stopping me? Black Adam asked, his face sullen, his eyes glaring at Superman. Superman, hands on his hips, floated in midair, his red cape rustling behind him. I should be asking you this question. I just saw you attack a child. Who are you? Black Adam didn't say much. He extended his right hand, lightning flashing within it, and swung it fiercely at Superman. Crackling. Golden lightning pierced the air, crashing into Superman's chest with a thud. Superman's face changed, and his entire body flew backward uncontrollably, shattering the corner of the building behind him and plummeting. It hurts, Superman clutched his numb chest, a look of disbelief on his face. If it had been naturally generated lightning, Superman would have been perfectly fine. But Black Adam's lightning, conjured by magic, actually caused Superman a hint of pain. The sunlight shone, and Superman's chest pain subsided. He stood up, looking towards Black Adam with a complicated expression. Is my magic resistance really that low? If it had been a physical weapon of equal power, whether it was a missile or explosives, Superman wouldn't have even frowned. Yet, the magical attack had injured him. Although the injury was minor and he recovered quickly, Clark shook his head, clearing his mind of all thoughts. He took off again, chasing Black Adam. Black Adam, mid-air, spotted the fleeing Billy from hundreds of meters away. He chased after him, laughing heartily. Has the wizard truly lost his mind? He'd choose such a little brat as his guardian. And this little brat, you don't even have the courage to utter that name, all you do is run away. How ridiculous. As he spoke, Black Adam flew in front of Billy and landed with a thud. Terrified, Billy stopped and frantically ran back. That name was the magic word Shazam. Whether Captain Marvel or Black Adam, Uttering it the first time would cause them to transform, uttering it a second time would undo the transformation. Black Adam, of course, couldn't undo it at that moment, so he could only refer to him by the name. Even from a distance, Billy felt the terrifying aura of Black Adam suffocating him. He fled in panic, his racing mind, trying to figure out what to do. Where's Superman? Why haven't the Avengers come? Am I going to die? What's with that old wizard? That name? Why are they all saying it? Billy seemed to remember something. The old wizard seemed to have asked Billy to tell him his name. A name. Gandalf. A thud. Thick smoke erupted in the air, then gradually dissipated with a gentle breeze. Reappearing in the same spot was no longer a young boy, but a middle-aged man with short hair, a white cape, and a red shirt. Like Black Adam, his chest bore a lightning bolt. What the hell is going on? I feel like I've suddenly grown up. Oh my god, my biceps are so strong, and I even have abs? Billy, or Captain Marvel, was so taken aback by the sudden change that he'd forgotten he was facing an enemy intent on killing him. Seeing Shazam's transformation, Black Adam, without a word, swung his fist and smashed it into Shazam's face. Wow, Captain Marvel, Shazam, looked like a greasy middle-aged man, but he was still a child at heart. He took a startled step back, his body instinctively swaying to avoid Black Adam's punch. He clenched his right fist and slammed it into Black Adam's chest. Bang! With a dull thud, Black Adam was sent flying backwards by Shazam's punch. Just then, Superman arrived and met the flying Black Adam with a punch of his own. Oh my god, I'm so strong. I'm as strong as Superman now. Shazam clenched his fist, feeling a surge of power fill him, and couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. He let out a wild laugh and, with all his might, sprinted towards Superman and Black Adam. Whoosh whoosh. Shazam ran at breakneck speed, easily outpacing the car. Wow, whoosh whoosh. I'm running so fast. Before he could finish his words, Shazam realized he'd been too cocky. After a burst of momentum, he slammed head-on into a wall. With a loud boom, the wall collapsed, sending Shazam tumbling into the rubble, looking utterly miserable. Looking up, he saw Superman lying beside him. Black Adam hovered in midair, gazing down at the two men with a smug expression, a stark contrast to the terrified crowd around him. Mr. Superman, are you okay? Shazam ignored Black Adam, staring curiously at the pale-faced Superman beside him. Even Superman couldn't defeat this man in black? Why wasn't he afraid, but rather excited? Was this normal? Waiting online, urgent. Superman, unaware of Shazam's thoughts, waved his hand and shakily stood up. It's okay, it's okay. I'll be back in a minute. His expression instantly returned to normal. Superman's magic resistance wasn't high, but his health bar was thick. Combined with the sun's glare, his regeneration rate left his opponent despairing. Black Adam had evidently noticed this. No matter how hard he attacked, Superman always recovered in record time. Mr. Superman, leave this man to me. I'm incredibly powerful now. Shazam patted his chest and stood in front of Superman. Though his expression was arrogant, he was already overjoyed. At heart, he was just a 14-year-old boy. Every boy dreams of being a hero. Now that Billy had suddenly gained power, his mischievous nature came into play, and he began to show off, tempted to do things only a superhero could do. HMPH, you think you could? Don't get cocky, Black Adam snorted coldly. With a flash of his own, he rushed in front of Shazam, swinging his fists like raindrops. At first, Shazam was able to dodge with his superhuman reflexes. But Black Adam, 1,000-year-old after all, struck with incredible speed, each strike striking at the enemy's vital points. Instantly, he gained the upper hand, sending Shazam reeling. Seeing this, Superman rushed forward to support him. Black Adam raised his hand, and bolts of lightning formed into a grid that descended with a thud. Rumble. A violent explosion erupted from the building's lower floors. Superman, braving the intense magical damage, slammed Black Adam toward the city's outskirts. Mr. Superman, wait for me, Shazam shouted, running after him, his speed soaring again. As he reached a certain speed, he was surprised to discover that he could fly. I can fly. I can fly too. Mimicking Superman, Shazam extended a hand and soared through the air. And I can fly, and I only need to say Shazam. With a crash, thunder flashed in the sky, and Shazam found his vision suddenly shifted to the side, the feeling of flight abruptly vanishing. Huh? Little Billy froze, realizing he'd shrunk again. Only then did he realize he'd just uttered the magic word again. Damn it! Suddenly falling from the sky, little Billy was so frightened he nearly peed his pants. He wanted to yell the magic word again, but the sudden weightlessness caught him off guard. Snap! Little Billy's fall paused, as if he were being lifted up and sent flying forward. He looked up and saw he was being carried by a figure in black armor. Unlike Black Adam, this one was handsome and exuded an air of righteousness. The capital A on his chest, in particular, clearly revealed his identity. Avengers. You are the Avengers. Little Billy, who had always admired superheroes and the Justice League, was overwhelmed with excitement, just as he'd seen Superman. Avengers, why are you here too? Is this a big deal? 2 members of the Justice League are being dispatched at once. Leah stared at the child she was carrying and smiled. Are you Billy Batson? Little Billy's expression turned to surprise, a touch of disbelief, when Leah called him. You know my name, he stuttered. It was like admiring a celebrity for a lifetime, and then that celebrity just called out their name the moment they saw them. That feeling was just amazing. Leah raised her hand and lifted Billy to her level. Can you still be the way you were just now? Yes, I just have to say Shazam, crackling. Lightning suddenly struck. Leah was quick to let go. Little Billy was struck by the lightning, once again transforming into Captain Marvel. Shazam! Let's go support Superman. Leah pointed to the outskirts of Metropolis, suddenly accelerating and flying over. Shazam hovered in place, his face filled with excitement. I can't believe I'm fighting alongside the Justice League. No, I'm going to save Superman with the Avengers. Haha, ding. Friendship level increased to friendly, unlocking Billy Batson, Captain Marvel, Shazam, character card. Leah was flying at full speed when a system notification suddenly rang in his mind. He was a little confused. From the beginning until now, Leah had only exchanged a few words with Billy, so how did his friendship level increase? Leah glanced back at Shazam, who had caught up, wondering what the little brat had just experienced. As expected, a child's thoughts are like the starry sky, you can see them, but you can't understand them. Ignoring little Billy, Leah mentally equipped the Shazam card into the secondary card slot. The Shazam card was purple, heroic quality, and possessed super strength, super speed, and super endurance. These qualities seemed to overlap with Superman's, but their properties were completely opposite. Superman's powers were derived from physical properties, while Shazam's powers were amplified by the magic of the ancient Greek gods. The weapon, currently equipped in Leah's secondary card slot, perfectly complements her divine attributes, greatly compensating for her Kryptonian bloodline's lack of magic resistance. Crash! As Leah neared Black Adam, who was battling Superman, her divine power transformed into thunder and hurled it at him. Black Adam and Superman separated, and Leah and Shazam fought beside Superman. Superman, are you okay? I just finished writing 4,000 words and posted them all. It's already 12:40, so I need to go to bed because I have to work tomorrow. Oh, I really can't afford to not have a vacation. TT. Chapter 177, Black Adam. Clark panted slightly, glancing at Leah and Shazam before smiling and shaking his head. I'm fine, Avenger. Do you know this guy's origins? He's a bit difficult. Leah hesitated to address Black Adam's name directly, instead turning the conversation to Shazam. I can sense the powerful magic within him. Perhaps you should ask this friend. Shazam met Superman's questioning gaze and shrugged. I was just baffled. I suddenly boarded a strange train and met a strange old man. He told me about a dark wave and offered me his power. Black Adam's face darkened at the mention of the dark wave. He opened his arms, and golden lightning flashed. Black Adam leaped up, his fists instantly coated in lightning. He unleashed a single punch, seemingly taking on 3. Shazam was the first to charge exchange of blows. Shazam took several punches from Black Adam, but only felt some pain, not serious harm. Superman soared into the air, using his heat vision to block Black Adam's escape route. Lee's divine lightning instantly descended. The seal is broken. I have risen from my millennia-old grave. None of you can stop me. Dense barrier of lightning that continuously erupted in the air, crisscrossing in all directions. A terrifying energy shockwave swept across, blasting the outskirts of the metropolis into a state of disarray. Suddenly, like a sharp sword, the silver-white lightning pierced through the dense electrical grid and crashed down. How is this possible? Black Adam's face darkened. He quickly crossed his arms, exerting his utmost strength to block the attack. Boom! Another explosion erupted, and divine lightning tore through the golden lightning, sending Black Adam reeling. His feet dug deep into the ground, plowing two long furrows. Superman and Shazam charged at him from either side, launching a fierce attack. Black Adam was formidable, but he couldn't withstand the combined attack. Holding his breath, he unleashed another burst of magical lightning, sending him flying backwards. But before he could get far, Leah appeared behind him in a flash, landed with a thunderous thud. "Asshole," Black Adam raged. He wouldn't be outmatched in a one-on-one fight. Superman's magic resistance was low, and Shazam was practically a rookie, completely incapable of combat. As for Leah, Black Adam sensed powerful magic within him, but he felt he was not without strength. Now surrounded by three men, Black Adam was in a real predicament. He switched from offense to defense, resisting the attacks of the three, rapidly thinking, conjuring a countermeasure. Superman, the wizard's successor, their heroes. Black Adam suddenly had a thought. These people had intentionally moved the battle to the suburbs, clearly worried about the impact on ordinary people in the city. He gave a grim smile, thinking to himself, the righteous side is indeed a bunch of idiots, their hands tied. 800 meters ahead, on a suburban road, a truck slowly passed. Black Adam's eyes lit up, and he unleashed another burst of lightning magic, pretending to fly into the sky and escape. The others gave chase. As Black Adam approached the truck, he suddenly turned and landed in front of it with a loud thud, kicking it over. Leah and the other two rushed over in an instant, landing in front of Black Adam. "Help! Superman, Avengers, and that guy. Help me. I have a 9-month pregnant wife at home to take care of." Black Adam grabbed the truck driver by the neck and lifted him up like a chicken. He frantically struggled to break free, but to no avail. Black Adam gripped the driver with one hand, shielding himself with the other. He grinned, "Don't move, or I'll kill this man." Superman possessed super speed, and so did Black Adam, so Superman's face darkened. "What do you want, man in black?" "I'm not a man in black, I'm Black Adam. Look at you idiots. You possess the power of guts, yet you choose to protect weak humans. Asshole, aren't you targeting me? Why are you harming innocent people?" Shazam was furious. They had clashed in Metropolis earlier, but it had only destroyed some buildings, not civilians. But now, Black Adam was threatening the lives of ordinary people. "Ha ha ha," Black Adam laughed grimly, "I really don't understand why wizards like idiots like you to be their heirs. Let me ask you, when you accidentally step on an ant to death, do you feel regret? No, you don't. Why do you think you don't feel regret? Is it because you are a bad person? Or is it because you realize that you are a life of a higher level, and these ordinary people are just ants in our eyes?" "What nonsense." Shazam didn't know how to refute, so he cursed directly. Black Adam shook his head. "We have the power of guts, don't we become gods? Since we are gods, should we naturally accept the service of mortals? Wizards don't understand what true power is, and you don't understand either. Put down the hostages." Shazam roared again, his fists clenched tightly, and his eyes seemed to be able to spit fire. Black Adam flashed a malicious smile. "Little brat, you want to be a guardian? Then transform back into your mortal form, or else." He clenched his fist slightly, causing the truck driver in his grip to scream in pain. "Ugh, help, help." Shazam's eyes were filled with confusion. He glanced at Superman, then at Leah, then lowered his head. He whispered, "Shazam," with a crash. Lightning descended, and Captain Marvel Shazam transformed back into the young boy Billy Batson. Black Adam's target from the beginning had always been Billy. He cast a warning glance at Superman and Leah, threatening to kill this innocent man stepped in front of him. Boom. Superman flew backwards, and Black Adam snorted, "You're courting death?" He raised his hand and struck out with lightning again. Leah, seeing this, had a thought. Extreme speed domain. At 12 o'clock in the morning, he posted a 4,000-word chapter, which counted as 2 updates for the weekend. This one was an extra update. The Alliance leader's 10 updates were paid off, leaving him with 2 for the Hall Master, 2 for the 2 captains, and 6 chapters for the 600 monthly votes. 10 more chapters to go. He spat out blood. Chapter 178, Perfect Restraint. As Leah unleashed his signature skill, the speed field, time suddenly stopped around him. In mid-air, lightning transformed by Black Adam's magic slowly gathered, radiating light. Leah raised his hand and pulled out the lasso of truth from his silver bracelet. He had borrowed it from Diana because it was a perfect counter to Black Adam. Wow. First, he rescued the hostage from Black Adam's grasp, then swung the golden lasso of truth, binding Black Adam tightly. After all this, Superman and Black Adam's gazes gradually converged on Li Yam. The speed field abruptly ended. Help! 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 The truck driver rolled on the ground, screaming for a long time, and suddenly found himself lying on the ground, safe and sound. The black-clad man who had previously held him hostage was now bound tightly by the Avengers with golden ropes. Superman walked over to the truck, lifted it, which Black Adam had overturned, onto the road, and said calmly, "You're fine now, get out of here, thank you so much, Superman, and the Avengers, and, thank you all." The truck driver didn't dare linger any longer, sprinting back to his truck and slamming on the accelerator. Black Adam, bound by the lasso of truth, clenched his fists, trying to break free. But the lasso of truth was incredibly strong, and no matter how hard Black Adam tried, he couldn't break it. "Black Adam, tell me, what is your true name?" Leah asked, gripping the lasso of truth tightly in her hand. "My true name." Black Adam instinctively opened his mouth, but his expression suddenly changed mid-sentence, and he closed it with immense willpower. Bound by the golden rope, Black Adam felt a mad urge to reveal his true name. "Truth." Little Billy, watching Black Adam being tied up, asked in confusion, "Mr. Superman, what are the Avengers doing?" "The Avengers are holding Wonder Woman's lasso of truth. Those bound are compelled to speak their truest thoughts," Superman explained, silently watching Black Adam from the side. Leo sensed Black Adam's similar use of magic to counter the lasso's power. He grasped the rope with one hand and swung forward with the other. A thunderbolt of divine power erupted, landing on Black Adam, instantly shattering his magic. "Let me ask you again, what is your real name, Tez Adam?" Black Adam's magical power was overwhelmed, and he subconsciously uttered his true name. Leo smiled and continued, "Very good, Tess Adam, what's your magic word?" "My magic word is..." Black Adam's heart skipped a beat, finally understanding Leah's plan. Repeating the magic word would transform him into a half-dead skeleton. Leo unleashed his divine power again, his voice rising a few degrees. "Tess Adam, what's your magic word? Speak it out loud." My magic word." Though Black Adam desperately resisted the lasso of truth's power, Leah overwhelmed the magic within him. After a long struggle, he finally gave in. He shouted, "My magic word is..." Shazam! With a crash, lightning appeared in the air, and Black Adam's figure suddenly vanished. In his place, a withered body. Having witnessed Billy transform into Shazam, Superman naturally understood that this withered body was Black Adam's true form. Leo stepped forward, pulled another piece of tape from his silver bracelet, and applied it to the mummified Tess Adam's mouth. "That's it. Let's throw this old man into the Phantom Zone later." Leah put away the lasso of truth. Superman and Billy stepped forward to examine Black Adam's true form, sighing in awe. "Impressive. I didn't expect the lasso of truth could be used like this. Magic." "Hey," Leah patted Superman on the shoulder. "Well, now you believe me, I do. So, the lightning you've been using is also magic? When did you learn magic?" Superman stared at Leah in confusion, as if to ask, "Can you teach me?" Leah shrugged. "Last time, when I was solving Gotham City's nuclear bomb problem, I encountered Ares, the god of war. I killed him and accidentally inherited Ares' godhood. So, strictly speaking, my power isn't magic, but something even more advanced, divine power." Leah was now a godhood-bearing, a certified true god. "So, you're a god now?" Superman rubbed his temple. "I'm impressed. By the way, what should we do with this kid?" A kid with supernatural powers wasn't a bad thing for Superman. After all, kids are incredibly adaptable, as long as they're properly mentored. Seeing Superman and the Avengers looking at him, Billy swallowed hard, looking a little nervous. "Mr. Superman, Mr. Avenger, you're not going to lock me up, are you?" "Billy, you possess tremendous power," Leah muttered, half crouching down to stare at the nervous Billy. Suddenly, a smile broke out, and he said, "Would you like to learn from us and learn how to better harness your powers, sir?" "You mean, would you like to mentor me?" Billy's eyes widened, thinking he'd misheard. While he could transform into Shazam, Billy was still just a kid, and didn't know how to harness his powers. His power was comparable to Black Adam's, but in a fight, he was no match for him. The reason was obvious. Leah nodded, and Billy clenched his fists happily, excitedly saying, "So, does that mean I'm joining the Justice League too?" Clark and Leah looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. "You may be young, but you're so ambitious. Do you really want to join the Justice League?" "Of course. You two are superheroes, and I want to be one too. It's been my dream since I was a kid," Billy said firmly. Once upon a time, young and ignorant, he, like Billy, longed to be a hero. Leah stroked little Billy's hair. "The Justice League has very strict requirements for joining, but we can give you a probationary membership first. You'll be on probation for 3 months, and only then can you become a full member." "Yes, that's great." Little Billy jumped up and down happily. Leah and Superman flew into the air at the same time, turning back to wave at Billy. "Come with us to the Justice League first, Billy. You still have a lot to learn." "Okay, got it." Little Billy ran forward, shouting, "Shazam!" Chapter 179, The Flash's Vicissitudes. A few days later, the young boy, Billy Batson, finished his daily studies and training at the Justice League's Earth headquarters. He returned to his home in the slums and prepared to pack up. Leah suggested that Billy stay at the Justice League headquarters, where there were plenty of empty rooms, free food, and a pleasant environment. Billy, of course, accepted the offer. At 14, he should have been cozying up in his parents' arms, but he was forced to live alone, constantly worrying about what to eat. He struggled to find the next meal. Of course, Billy didn't drop out of school. Although the Justice League's intelligent machines were perfectly capable of teaching, he had friends there and wanted to finish elementary school. He could leave the rest of the day for later. Walking through the alleys of the slums, little Billy looked around that had landed him on the train to the magical cave, where he had inherited the wizard's legacy. Now that he thought about it, that old man was no ordinary man. After another round, Billy still didn't see the old man, so he shook his head and prepared to go home. Just then, the alley entrance was blocked by several young men. "Hey, isn't that our hero? Got your 2 protection fees ready?" A white young man approached little Billy with a sly tone. He was the same thug who had bullied the African-American elder and snatched his change. The others behind the white young man glared at him unkindly. "Hey, look at that kid's brand new clothes. He must be rich, haha, that's right. What a shame. They're too small for me, but it's just the same as paying the protection fees." Billy's clothes were actually Justice League uniforms. The thugs, seeing the sleekness, mistook them for brand new ones. After all, they were just ghetto thugs and couldn't tell the difference. "Are you really going to rob me?" In the past, when bullied by thugs, little Billy would naturally be afraid, but now, far from being afraid, he was actually a little excited. Should he beat them up and get his money back? Would that be bad? The white young man snorted coldly, stepped forward, grabbed little Billy by the collar, and lifted him up. "I can beat 10 of you, little brat. Hand over the money if you know what's good for you." Billy, hoisted into the air, didn't struggle. Instead, he placed his hands on his hips and softly said, "Shazam!" Huh? Before the thugs could react, a flash of lightning suddenly exploded in the sky. The next second, little Billy transformed into Captain Shazam. The thugs stared in shock, their lips twitching wildly. What was going on? Little Billy, transformed into Shazam, gave a malicious smile, stretched out his muscular arm, and placed it on the white thug's shoulder. "Protection money. If you don't pay, I'll beat you up." With that, he lifted the white thug up. Seeing this, the people behind him ran as fast as they could. "You bastards, face, uncle." I was wrong. He couldn't understand how a little brat who yelled Shazam could turn into an uncle. The key was, he felt like he was no match for this uncle. Just as Shazam was contemplating how to deal with this punk, he sensed a powerful energy surge nearby. A clattering sound followed by a flash of lightning-like speed, approaching in the distance before disappearing in a flash. The Flash. It's the Flash. Help. Flash, help. The white punk immediately recognized the yellow lightning. What was the red shadow? It was the Flash, one of the Justice League's greats. Shazam was slightly taken aback. He had seen the Flash in person yesterday in the Justice League, but he felt a little different. It was indeed the Flash. The speed, the aura, the sprint, everything was the same, but this Flash gave Shazam a strange feeling up. "If you dare to rob or collect protection money again, I'll beat you up every time I see you." With that, Shazam soared into the air, chasing after the Flash. The young thug was left with a bewildered look on his face. Whoosh whoosh. Shazam flew at full speed, and it took a while before he could see the Flash's back. The Flash had stopped on a suburban road northwest of Metropolis, his mask off, his hands on his knees, breathing heavily. "Hey, Barry, what's wrong with you?" "Oh, you look." Shazam flew in front of the Flash, his eyes widening at the side of his face. The Flash's breathing gradually calmed. He looked up at Shazam and asked seriously, "Superman? Where's Superman?" "Superman's at the Daily Planet. Nothing much has happened lately." Shazam leaned closer to the Flash and asked in confusion, "Barry, how did you age so quickly overnight? Could it be, you worked too hard yesterday?" He gave a "I understand" smile. American children, precocious, often heard their schoolmates talk about people aging and becoming physically hollowed out overnight. But the Flash ignored Shazam's grin, his face utterly astonished. "Superman at the Daily Planet. Clark's at the Daily Planet. So that means Daily Planet, Metropolis hasn't been blown up yet, and Superman." The Flash smiled and turned to look far behind him. There was Metropolis. Not the wreckage of a nuclear explosion, but a thriving city. "I did it. I made it to another universe," the Flash muttered to himself, his expression frantic. Shazam crossed his arms and pouted unhappily. Hey, what's wrong with you?" The Flash suddenly raised his head and looked at Shazam. "Take me to your Justice League. I have something important to talk to Superman about." "Okay, follow me." Shazam was confused, but he didn't waste any words and flew directly in the direction of the Justice League. The Flash put on his helmet again and chased after him in a flash. "Shazam, why don't you activate the remote transmission device and teleport me up?" The Flash slowed down and asked. "What device? Teleport to where?" Shazam was confused. "What's the connection?" The Flash was also confused. "Wait, in your universe, there is a Justice League, but no Watchtower." Chapter 180, Another Universe. Shazam and the Flash arrived at the Justice League's Earth headquarters. "Barry, I'll take you straight to Leah. He's the boss of the Justice League." After all, Shazam walked through the halls of the Justice League complex. There were no humans in sight, only floating robots, scurrying about with their tentacles waving. "Shazam, who is Leah? And what's with all these robots?" The Flash looked around, feeling a lost bit in the pace of this world. "Is there a superhero named Leah in the Justice League?" The Flash looked puzzled. As Shazam walked, he casually released a bolt of lightning, charging a robot attached to the wall. "Barry, what's wrong with you? You don't even know about Leah and the robots. Are you someone else?" "I just explained to you, I'm from another universe, and I have something important to tell you about Superman." The Flash knew Shazam was just a little kid, so explaining things to him was pointless. The two of them got on the elevator and arrived at Leah's office. "Shazam, have you packed your things?" "And Barry, what were you doing last night? Why have you aged so much?" Leah quickly turned off the screen on his desk upon seeing someone approach. He leaned back in his chair, watching the two people enter. "Are you the head of the Justice League?" the Flash asked, sizing Leah up. As soon as he said this, Leah sensed something was amiss him. The figure standing before his desk had an identical anatomy to Barry Allen's. Leah could also sense the energy pulsing from him, the speed force. However, he wasn't using it, so he couldn't tell the extent of his speed force. "Another universe. We need help from this world." "Another universe." Leah rubbed his chin. Batman had been dreaming about the Flash, presumably from the Injustice universe, asking for help. Now, suddenly, a Flash appeared, claiming to be from another universe. Leah couldn't help but think about that. So, he reached out and touched a button on the table, opening the communication channel. "Avengers to Flash. Flash, please come to headquarters immediately." A moment later, Barry Allen's voice rang through the channel. "Sorry, Avengers, you may not believe this, but I'm fighting a mind-controlling gorilla. Shit, he's found me. I have to hang up. We'll talk later. Flash, do you need help?" "Hello." Leah didn't hear back, so he called Cyborg, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, telling them of the emergency. "Let's go. I've already notified Superman and the others. Let's talk in the conference room." With that, Leah led Flash and Shazam to the Justice League meeting room. 10 minutes later, everyone arrived at a large conference table. Leah sat at the head of the table, looking at the weathered Flash. "Tell us about your situation." Superman and the others fixed their eyes on Flash. They had learned some of the situation when they arrived, and now they were waiting for Flash to speak. "Like I said before, I come from another world. In that world, there's also the Justice League, as well as Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg. The Flash looked around and realized that there were fewer people in this Justice League than he'd imagined. Only Leah was a relative stranger. He shook his head and continued, in our world, a year ago, the Joker tricked Superman into inhaling a fear gas, causing him to kill the pregnant Lois as Doomsday, so Clark will marry Lois? And have a child? Shazam interrupted excitedly. Everyone glared at this greasy-looking middle-aged man who is actually a naughty kid at heart. Leah said bluntly, if you keep talking too much, never come to the Justice League again. Sorry, I'll shut up and stop talking. Shazam shrank his head and smiled apologetically. The Flash continued, after Lois's death, the crazed Joker nuked Metropolis. An enraged Superman attempted to kill the Joker, but Batman tried to stop him. An enraged Superman blamed Batman for repeatedly allowing the Joker to commit crimes, leading to today's tragedy. In the end, Superman crushed the Joker's heart. Wonder Woman raised an eyebrow. It sounds like your Superman is much more courageous than Clark. Batman shook his head and retorted, courage? Once you start killing, you can't stop. Even Superman, you could say that, but not entirely. Initially, our Superman just wanted to end the war, but Wonder Woman wanted to take Lois's place, and she encouraged Superman to take tough measures. Oh my god, I didn't expect Diana to have such a side to her. Shazam couldn't help but complain. Diana frowned, a little annoyed. Shut up. Didn't you hear that's their universe? Leaz waved his hand, and a burst of divine power erupted, blasting Shazam out of the conference room. The Flash gave an awkward laugh. I know. It's because of her experience with World War I that Wonder Woman is more open to killing than any other superhero. Experienced World War I. Diana from this universe was confused, wondering if World War I had anything to do with her. You didn't experience World War I? Steve Trevor took you away from Theme Island. Flash, our universe's history is different from yours. I was the one who took our Diana away from Theme Island, Leah quickly explained. I see, that's right, the differences between parallel universes. The same character experiences in each parallel universe may have completely different. The Flash quickly accepted this statement. He continued, later, Superman initially only killed guilty people, but because I traveled back in time, he became a very extreme person. He even killed his own companions. P.S. Regarding the war that Diana experienced, the comics talk about World War II, but the background of the movie is World War I. Chapter 181, What King of the Sea? Wait, you're saying oh no, your world Superman, killed a companion? Clark, unable to sit still, demanded. The Flash hesitated, then said, yes, Green Arrow, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter. The others were puzzled. They had never heard of the latter two names, and had even forgotten Green Arrow, the only one they knew. The Flash was speechless, his mouth grumbling for a long time, unsure how to respond. Batman, however, tapped the controls on the desktop in front of him, bringing up a video feed. With a swipe of his finger, it was displayed on the conference room wall. I think, the Aquaman you're talking about is this guy. Everyone looked at the wall. A mere 12 seconds of footage was captured by a deep-sea submersible. In the video, a figure, moving at high speed like a fish, approached the submersible. He looked around, then raised his weapon and pierced the submersible. Is he Aquaman? Batman asked. The Flash's expression shifted slightly. He whispered a name, then he shook his head and said, your universe's timeline differs significantly from ours. I'd better not reveal too much. Leah shrugged nonchalantly. Your presence has disrupted the course of our universe. It's the so-called butterfly effect. Any tiny change can have unpredictable consequences for the future. You should be most aware of this. The Flash had messed up the DC Universe's timeline. Of course, Leah wasn't much better. His presence had already altered many things. I'm sorry, this world is our only hope. I really don't want anyone else to die. The Flash's voice was filled with sorrow. Clark's expression also grimaced. He knew the situation of his other self and put himself in their shoes, feeling horrified. Lois and my child with her, ugh. I wonder what would have happened if I'd gone through everything that Superman went through. Leah quickly continued, Clark, for the sake of this world, I think it's best if you never know. Cyborg, add 2 extra satellites to provide 24-hour protection for Lois. No problem, Cyborg replied, tapping the table a few times. After connecting to the satellites, he focused his view on Metropolis. Oh, Lois wasn't in Metropolis. The day before yesterday, she had gone to the front lines of the Middle East war alone to work as a war correspondent, seeking a scoop. Leah, don't worry. Isn't the Joker in our world dead? Lois will be fine. Superman assured her that there was no need to worry about Lois's safety. He had made 2 Superman pagers, one for Lois and the other for his friend Jimmy Olsen. No matter what danger they encountered, just press the pager and Superman would arrive in the shortest possible time. Upon hearing that this universe's Joker was dead, the Flash was shocked beyond counting. Both universes had Superman and Batman, so why was there such a huge difference between them? Superman, what are you talking about? The Joker is dead? Who killed him? Batman. Impossible, could it be? Superman glanced at Leah and explained, this president has set up a tribunal of 3 wise men. All prisoners who pose a serious threat to humanity are imprisoned in the Phantom Zone. You know, prisoners on Earth can hardly handle someone like the Joker. The Flash knew about the Phantom Zone. Any mortal who entered it was essentially doomed. I envy your universe, the Flash sighed. Envy was pointless. Leah was a time traveler. And she wouldn't abide by any no-killing principle, seeing that everyone had mostly understood. Leah asked, now let's hear what everyone thinks. Clark, do you want to give yourself a beating? Superman rolled his eyes at Leah and said unhappily, Leah, don't you always brag about your invincibility? Now's your chance to prove it. If you can defeat me from that world, I'll admit you're better than me. How about it, Ling? Triggering side quest, Blackened Superman. Defeat the Blackened Superman from the Injustice world and receive an additional 30% Kryptonian gene optimization bonus. Note, good friends, we have to hurt each other. The system's voice suddenly chimed in his mind, causing Leah to froze. What the hell? An additional bonus, a 30% Kryptonian gene optimization? What does that even mean? As is the nature of the system, while it's a bit rigid, the things it produces are always impressive. Leah was tempted. However, there was a serious problem. He didn't know if his character card from this universe would still work if he went to another universe. There shouldn't be any problem with godhood. After all, the source of magic is the same as the Speed Force. If the Flash from another universe comes to this universe, he can also draw strength from the Speed Force of this universe. There's no reason for a true god like me to lose the source of magic when he goes to another universe. Clark saw Leah keeping his head down and not talking, and a smug smile appeared on his face. If you don't dare, I'll go. Although it feels weird to be my opponent, but I didn't say I wouldn't go. I was just thinking, what if I beat you, you in the other universe too badly? Would it be embarrassing for you? If Leah really didn't go, Clark would hate her for the rest of her life, and he would definitely bring this up later. Diana looked at Lee. I'll go too. Lee will take care of the other side's Clark. Clark will take care of the other side's Lee. And I'll take care of their Wonder Woman. The Flash interrupted, well, our universe doesn't have Lee, nor do we have superpowered beings called Avengers. Superman sighed with regret, that's a shame, you guys go. Cyborg and I will stay with the Justice League. We need someone to keep an eye on things here, Batman said, and Cyborg agreed. After the decision was made, the Flash produced a small black box, resembling a router. Send your shockwave over to record the ripples in spacetime in our universe, then open a channel, and we'll be able to pass through, the Flash said. Everyone was stunned again, looking at each other. What waves? The Flash's face froze. You don't even have shockwave. I've explained in previous chapters that I've been constantly working overtime at the construction site lately, and it's really beyond my ability. I'm already pressed for time every day, and after finishing 1 or 2 chapters, I only have time to fix typos and make the sentences coherent before uploading them. Under these circumstances, how can the quality possibly compare to when I had a draft saved? Of course, the author isn't making excuses, but I still want to say this, give me some time, stay up a few more nights this week, and write a few drafts. It won't be so rushed, and things will be much better. Chapter 182, Why Sunbathe? Without shockwave, is that a serious problem? Leah asked, noticing the Flash's grim expression. The Flash sighed, thankfully not calling out Cisco's name, but simply Shockwave, otherwise he'd be in trouble again. Cisco's awakening of his powers was somewhat unique, and if any of these processes were affected, the consequences could be unpredictable. Without Shockwave, we can't open a stable space tunnel, which means you can't travel to my universe, The Flash explained. Batman sensed a sense of, are you saying that someone with superpowers can open a space-time tunnel? This time, it was the Flash who traveled from another universe, but Batman had to worry about the Joker from another universe, or even more powerful villains. If they learned the superhero's weaknesses from another universe, it would be a huge threat. The Flash understood concerns, having shared the same concerns with his own universe's Batman. He explained, don't worry, there are many parallel universes. Unless we're incredibly unlucky and stumble upon one, it's rare for enemies from other universes to come through. Leah guessed that this Flash hadn't experienced anything like this before. There weren't many instances of powerful enemies roaming the universe. Barry, if we can't reach your universe, how about bringing you some kryptonite? Diana said with some regret. Kryptonite? That would be great, but I think I can take one person with me first. More than one person would cause the space-time corridor to collapse. Space-time corridors opened by the Speed Force were inherently unstable. Even the Flash's own travels often went awry. Taking one person through was already the limit. He continued, you guys record the space-time ripples in our universe here. Then, if the speedsters from both universes run together, we'll open a stable space-time corridor and let you all in. With that, the Flash handed the small black box to Cyborg, who took it and studied it as if he had discovered a new world. In that case, take me to your universe, Cyborg. How long will it take to record their space-time ripples? Lee asked. Cyborg roughly estimated, about a week. It involves space-time stuff, so it'll take some time to understand. If anyone were to tell you that you could understand space-time in just a week, it would probably cause a stir. By the way, you can ask Cisco to come and help. He'll definitely be interested, Lee added. After the meeting, Superman prepared to return to the Daily Planet. Before leaving, he urged Lee to be careful and not to rely too much on kryptonite. After all, Superman's heat vision could instantly vaporize him if he took precautions. Clark didn't need to explain this. Lee took the Flash to the Justice League's scientific laboratory. On the way, he remembered a very important question and quickly asked, Barry, how old is your universe's Superman? 39. What's the problem? The Flash blurted out. How strong is a 39-year-old Superman? Even if he hasn't reached Orange Epic, he's definitely at least upper Golden Legend, or at the very top. This system mission. Oops. Gone. The Flash watched as Leah's face flickered, then pale, then he suddenly turned and headed outside. Mr. Leah, where are you going? He asked. Without even turning back, Leah waved his hand, saying, you guys study the ripples in space-time. I'm going to bask in the sun for a few days. With that, he quickly exited through the window. Accelerating rapidly, breaking the sound barrier and hurtling towards the sun. The Flash was left bewildered. You're not a Kryptonian, why are you basking in the as our president? Perhaps I should respect him, but Leah is a rather unorthodox person, hardly worthy of respect. But, he solved so many problems, and that's something I can't help but admire. The Flash's most profound understanding of this statement was the Joker. If Leah existed in their universe, perhaps the Joker wouldn't have had the opportunity to persecute Lois, and Superman wouldn't have turned evil. Meanwhile, Leah gradually flew closer to the sun's gravitational pull. Here, the sunlight directly hit Leah. Previously, when he had been closer to the sun, a huge amount of solar energy had accumulated within his body, requiring a long time to fully digest. So, closer isn't necessarily better. The body absorbs solar energy at a constant rate, and being closer to the sun will accelerate its absorption, temporarily increasing his strength. However, Leah had never attempted to harness his divine powers, and wondered if using them could accelerate solar absorption. As he pondered this, he saw two black dots drifting in the distance. No, more like two people. Kara and Viola. Why are they here? Leah's face darkened. No wonder he hadn't seen them for the past 2 days floating around here all day. Hey, Leah, why are you here too? Getting some sun. Kara was wearing a transparent mask, which allowed them to talk in space. Otherwise, just floating around would be boring. The mask connected to the communicator. Leah heard Kara's greeting and pressed a button on his suit. General Leah, I've discovered that after 3 days of sun exposure, our absorption of solar energy reaches saturation. It takes a week for us to return to our initial rate. Viola had clearly done extensive research. Her military background had honed her senses to the extreme. Therefore, as she absorbed the sun's energy, she could clearly sense the changes within herself. 3 days? A week? Lee recalled his own experience. His enhancements lasted longer, while the recovery period was shorter. This might be because Clark, a Kryptonian born naturally, has greater potential, while Fyra and Kara, genetically engineered, lack Clark's potential. Fyra and Kara had originally prepared to return, but Lee floated over to bask in the sun, so they stayed to chat. A week passed quickly, and Lee received a message from the laboratory. The ripples in spacetime had been recorded, ready to follow the Flash into another universe at any time. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183, I Am Also a Speedster. The laboratory of the Justice League's Scientific Research Department. The Flash from this universe had been here before, and Barry was very surprised to see his counterpart from another universe, and then he naturally proposed to compete in speed with the other party. As a result, he was left 2 blocks behind by the Flash from another universe. Cisco almost laughed himself to death. In the next few days, Cyborg used Kryptonian technology to develop a miniature space-time signal tower. Cisco was very interested in this and took the initiative to come over to help. Although this signal tower is miniature, it is also 3 meters high. After it is turned on, it has great power. The surrounding space seems to be impacted, and it emits waves like high-temperature steam. Then just input the spatial ripples of your space-time, so that it can be detected by your universe. Cisco turned to look at the Flash and asked. The Flash replied, "Yes, it's like a navigational beacon, I see." Cisco nodded in understanding, but then, as if a thought had occurred to him, he asked mysteriously, "Hey, Barry from the other world, didn't you say there's a person with superpowers who can open a space-time corridor? Who is he?" The Flash gave an awkward laugh. "If I told you, it might disrupt the future of your universe. Please, do you know what a breakthrough it would be for science if we could open a passage to another universe? Maybe we could gain endless resources from other universes." Cisco's current thinking was still that of an ordinary scientist, but once he truly gained Shockwave's powers and understood the dangers of an infinite universe, he wouldn't overthink it. The Flash's face flushed crimson, as if he was thinking about just telling the guy he was Shockwave. At that moment, Leah appeared in the lab and casually stored it in his silver bracelet. Then he asked, "What should we do next?" "I'll run and open the space-time tunnel. By the way, can you move quickly?" the Flash asked. If Lee could display super speed, even if it wasn't Speed Force speed, he could follow the Flash into the space-time tunnel, saving him from having to carry someone else. Carrying someone else would slow the Flash down, and running too slowly in the space-time tunnel was extremely dangerous. Lee said nothing. In a flash, transformed he into a streak of silver lightning and vanished. When he reappeared, he was holding a Coke and drinking from it through a straw. The Flash was all too familiar with this feeling. He felt that this world was truly amazing. "You have the Speed Force? Are you a speedster too?" "A speedster who can fly." If it weren't impolite, the Flash would have wanted to ask what Lee's superpowers were. Leah shrugged. The Flash sighed and said, "You're the best speedster. Just follow me. Just keep Speedster the signal tower open. Once we connect to you, the tunnel will reopen." Cyborg and the others nodded in understanding. "Okay, let's go," the Flash said, donning his hood. With a swish, he transformed into lightning and vanished into the lab. Leo dropped his Coke and followed. The surrounding scenery receded. After running out of the Justice League's Earth headquarters, the Flash arrived at an empty suburb, circling it at a furious pace. Leo continued to follow the Flash. Even with his own super speed, enhanced by the Speed Force, he couldn't keep up with the Flash. With a clatter, 2 bolts of lightning, 1 gold and 1 silver, swirled. The air vibrating as a tunnel gradually opened up. "Follow me," the Flash waved his hand. After completing his final lap, the tunnel stabilized. He leaped up and flew towards it. Leo stepped on the ground and flew through, surging like a tide. Before you exit, maintain a constant speed. Memories of your past will appear around you. Don't look at them, or you'll easily get lost in time. The Flash reminded Leo of the important things to be aware of. It was clear this wasn't his first time traveling through time. Inside the tunnel, the Flash ran ahead, Leo following in a flying position. After running for a long time, they finally saw a glimmer of light ahead. Buzz! As Leo passed through the light, His brain felt as if it were suffocating. The world spun, and his breathing stopped. His body seemed to be hollowed out in that instant, and a wave of weakness washed over him. Lee! Let's get out of here. The watchtower will detect the space-time signal here, and will be discovered. This wasn't the Flash's first time traveling through time, so the side effects were much less severe for him. Seeing Lee still dazed, he lifted her up and, in a flash, vanished with her. Meanwhile, in the Injustice universe, at the watchtower, Cyborg from this universe suddenly noticed a temporal fluctuation in Gotham City's north side, as if a space tunnel had opened. Superman, a space tunnel has appeared. It could be Barry's return. Superman, who had been standing at the watchtower window, gazing at the stars, slowly turned around upon hearing this. Clark was still Clark, but this Superman had a scraggly beard that looked untouched, giving him a weathered look. Even a hint of gray appeared at his temples. His gray hair had nothing to do with his age, it turned white overnight after experiencing great sorrow and pain. Barry disappeared for a whole week. It turns out he fled to another universe. Can we find him now? Superman's voice was low, not even very concerned about the matter. Cyborg shook his head. That place is deserted now. Let's send Green Lantern and Black Adam to check it out. Tell them that the Flash has rebelled. If they encounter him, just capture him. Superman lowered his eyes slightly. Behind him walked a woman, Wonder Woman of this universe. Wonder Woman put her arm around Superman's arm and leaned slightly forward. Clark, what are you doing here, today? It's Lois and her daughter. It's all my fault. Superman closed his eyes and fell silent. Wonder Woman smoothed Superman's messy hair and whispered, No, it's not your fault. Everything is the fault of the evil in this world. Only by eradicating all the evil in this world can we prevent similar things from happening again. Chapter 184, Frost Dancer. In the Injustice universe, Gotham City. Leo walked alone through the streets of Gotham City, taking in the familiar sights. He found it hard to believe he'd arrived in another world. Of course, there were some differences. Superman's S embroidered on their shoulders patrolled the streets. Passers-by, upon encountering these soldiers, retreated at a distance, as if fearing encountering them. Of course, Gotham City was relatively safe. Neighboring Metropolis had been reduced to rubble by a nuclear bomb, and Star City had also experienced several battles, with over half of its buildings destroyed. This universe didn't have Leah, no superpowered Leah, after all. So, the Flash confidently left him on the street and gave Leah a meeting address where they would escort him to the Resistance's base. The character cards from my original world are useless. Leah walked down the street, his mind focused on Advanced System 2.0. Aside from the character cards' growth, absorption, and divine power, all the character cards from my original world had turned gray and could not be equipped. Only the Flash card from this world could be equipped. This meant that, aside from this Flash card, Leah could only rely on his basic stats. Taking into account the growth and absorption from equipping the Superman card on his main card, the bonus from 3 friendship points, and the light energy from the time Leah had been floating in the sun's gravitational field for the past few days, Leah's basic stats were 22% of Clark's power from his original world. Including the divine power of the God of Punishment, Leah's basic strength was rated at mid-level purple hero level. With a Flash card equipped on my main card, the speed boost from the Speed Force should be comparable to Superman's. As long as Superman's magic resistance isn't too high in this world, there's still a chance. Leah sighed heavily, a comforting thought. He truly had no idea if he could win. After all, this universe's Superman is already 39, while Clark from the original universe is barely 20. With such a huge difference, even Clark from the original universe might not be a match for this universe's Superman. They arrived at a meeting place the Flash had given them, a bar, the Veterans in downtown Gotham City. Leah had longed for a place like this, but he'd never been. In his previous life, he'd worked overtime constantly, his salary barely enough to cover rent, so how could he afford to hang out at a bar? After crossing over, he gained superpowers and spent his days with a group of people bursting with positive energy. Well, actually, Bruce Wayne never invited him to the bar, and it wasn't because he was worried Diana would strike him with a Vulcan sword. Diana didn't follow, so Leah boldly kicked down the bar door and walked in. Inside, the noise was deafening, and the scent of alcohol and soft perfume mixed together, inviting a wave of revelry. As for the contact, Leah didn't worry too much. Since the Flash had said someone would find him at the Veterans, he'd just wait. On the dance floor, a sea of handsome men and beautiful women swayed their bodies. On the stage, a woman twirled and leaped on a pole. Her snowy white hair and shadowy figure blew kisses across the room, stirring the crowds of men. Leah was taken aback when she saw her face, and her lips twitched. Oh my God. Caitlin Snow, or should I call her Killer Frost? In Leah's own universe, Caitlin Snow was a bioengineer working in a cutting-edge lab. How did she end up working as a bar dancer in the Injustice universe? Was she so miserable in this universe? Just as Leah was marveling at the sight, a woman dressed in white as paper, approached. Hey, cowboy, what are you looking at? As she spoke, she clasped her arms around Leah's neck, snuggling against his sturdy chest like a docile kitten. Leah's eyebrows raised as he took in the woman's features. Harley Quinn. Ahem, I just can't bear to see that woman on stage shivering in such cold weather, Lee said casually, then took in the Harley Quinn of this universe. The Superman of the Injustice universe was older than Lois, while the Superman of her own universe was the opposite. As for the others, the age difference wasn't much. The Flash looked so weathered, but it wasn't because of age, but rather because he felt exhausted after going through so much. Harley Quinn was amused by Lee's words. She said in a sweet voice, "Cowboy, buy me a drink, come on." With that, Lee was led to a private room behind the bar. Once inside, Harley Quinn pushed Lee onto the pink sofa bed. "Mr. Cowboy, are you ready to fall into the abyss?" Harley Quinn asked, forcing an exaggerated smile. "All right, Harley, the Bat sent you, didn't he?" Harley Quinn, her thoughts pierced by Leah's, hunched over and groped around on the sofa. "Cowboy, don't move. We're leaving." As she finished speaking, the sofa jerked, and Leah and her fell into a tunnel. Leah instinctively scanned the room as she entered, but hadn't noticed any hidden passages. It was a lead-line tunnel. It turned out they'd specially prepared it for this universe's Superman. They slid down for a long time, the entire tunnel lined with lead. According to Harley Quinn, Batman's secret base was beneath the city water supply, and the crisscrossing network of pipes provided a perfect concealment. A moment later, at the end of the tunnel, Leah's view suddenly cleared, no longer obstructed by the lead-line tunnel. "Where is this?" Leah glanced around, as if she had arrived at a massive air raid shelter. Like the tunnel itself, the walls of this shelter were also lined with lead. "I never imagined there was such a place beneath Gotham City's water supply." Harley Quinn patted Leah's shoulder and motioned for him to follow her. "Come on, cowboy, everyone's waiting for you." Chapter 185, Acquaintances in the Unjust World. Leah followed Harley Quinn through twists and turns until they finally reached a large alloy door. After entering the code, the gate swung open. "There's a Batcave here too. And it looks quite old. This place existed long before Superman's dark turn, and it was completely lead-plated, its intentions clear." It seemed this world's Batman was far more scheming than the one in his own universe. At least Leah had paid close attention to his own Batman, and he hadn't done anything out of the ordinary. With clairvoyance and super hearing, if one actively sought out something, few things could truly remain hidden. Just like this hidden Batcave, if Superman truly intended to find it, even if it was lead-plated, it wouldn't be hidden. The alloy door Batman swung open, and Leah's first sight was Bruce Wayne, clad in a bat mask and a black cape. He also noticed Leah. "Are you the Avenger the Flash mentioned, the one from another world?" asked, sizing Leah up. Leah nodded. "Yes, Bruce. Barry brought me here." Batman's face darkened when he heard Leah say his real name. He spoke calmly. "Here, it's best to address each other by titles. Mr. Avenger, how much kryptonite have you brought?" Leah extended his hand, and the kryptonite sword from his silver bracelet materialized. "Didn't Flash tell you? Our universe only has one last piece of kryptonite left." Seeing the kryptonite, Batman's eyes darkened. "Superman gave me the last piece of kryptonite, but when Superman and I had a disagreement, Wonder Woman took it away." Leah was about to speak when two men approached Batman, Shazam and the Atom. "Batman, you've called us here to tell us you plan to use that sword against Superman, right?" The Atom was none other than Raymond Palmer, the man who acquired Quinn Enterprises. Shazam was intrigued by the kryptonite. "Batman, why don't you give me that sword? You can't fly, and if Superman takes off, you won't be able to catch him." "Let's talk inside." Batman glared at the two men before turning and heading into the Batcave. The Atom and Shazam approached Leah, extending their hands. "Hey, Welcome. I heard you're from another world, but I just want to confirm, are you here to help us? Leah shook hands with him. Of course. Did the Flash tell you? Yes, he did, but the Flash is in trouble. Green Lantern and Black Adam are chasing him. But don't worry, with his speed, he shouldn't have any trouble escaping. The Atom shrugged, seeming to trust the Flash's speed. Everyone entered the Batcave and sat down at the conference table. Batman sat at the top, looking at the people on either side. He spoke expressionlessly. Our original plan was to find Superman to fight Superman. Sorry, Batman, you came to us at the wrong time. Our Superman is 19 years younger than yours, so he might not be a match for yours, Leah interrupted bluntly. It had to be said that this world's Batman wasn't very likable. Leah had come to help this world. Whether it was the Flash, Harley Quinn, Shazam, or the Atom, their friendship levels were rapidly increasing. After a brief encounter, several present showed signs of breaking through the friendly barrier. Only Batman's friendship level remained unchanged. Even if he's much younger than our Superman, he's still Superman. Our top priority is to connect the two universes, open a stable space-time corridor, and then have your Justice League come and defeat Superman, Batman said gravely. If it were just a matter of fighting Superman alone, he wouldn't necessarily seek help from other universes. Even if it meant being shattered to pieces, Batman would do everything in his power to fight Superman to the bitter end. But Superman wasn't alone. Wonder Woman goes without saying, but there's also Cyborg, Green Lantern, Black Adam, and Hawkgirl. It's a formidable lineup. As for Batman, tell me honestly, how many allies do we have? Leah asked, his face dark. We've clashed over a dozen times. When Superman started killing people, we were no match. As Batman spoke, he glanced at the brother's eye screen. There were many characters' portraits, most of them gray and white. Green Arrow, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Firestorm. Shazam had originally followed Superman, but after watching him murder his friend, he decisively broke with him. He and Superman fought, and he was nearly killed. Besides the few present, the only remaining members of Batman's side were Harley Quinn and Killer Frost. What a disparity in strength, Leah shook his head. This faction choice was truly a pain in the ass. If it weren't for the System's side quest, Leah might have helped Superman unify Earth. The Atom waved his hand and said, if we establish a stable space-time tunnel, the Watchtower will undoubtedly discover us. What if reinforcements from the other universe don't arrive, and our Superman finds us first? That's easy. We'll use a feint to the east and attack in the west. After all, Superman doesn't know I exist, nor does he know we have kryptonite. Lure him to another city, Metropolis, Central City, Star City, it doesn't matter. Then you find a chance to open the space-time tunnel, Leah suggested. He also wanted to meet this universe's Superman. With the kryptonite and the speed boost from the Flash card, even if he couldn't defeat him, he could always escape. If they could defeat Superman and easily complete the System's side quest, wouldn't it be wonderful to have 30% of the optimized Kryptonian genes? After hearing Leah's suggestion, Batman rested his chin on his hands and began to think seriously. I have a plan. I'll first buy kryptonite from Lex Luthor. He's hinted before that he still has some. Lex Luthor? Is he on your side? Leah asked instinctively. Batman shook his head. How could that be? Lex Luthor and Superman have a good relationship. They're on the same side. Leah looked incredulous. Lex Luthor and Superman have a good relationship? Sure enough, it was the Injustice universe. Leah was convinced. Then he can actually sell you kryptonite? Why do I doubt it? Lex Luthor and Superman weren't just a casual friendship. They wouldn't say one thing to Batman your face and another behind your back. And if kryptonite really existed, Batman would have gone and grabbed it long ago. Why would he wait until now? As expected, shook his head and said, of course he won't sell it to me, but he'll set a trap for me. We'll use his trip to lure Superman over. Chapter 186, Testing Each Other. No wonder people say Batman's suit is dark, but his heart is even darker. Compared to the Batman in Injustice, the Batman of his own universe is a straightforward, honest boy without any scheming. So, you're saying you want to find LeBlanc, Lex, and buy kryptonite from him. Given Lex's position, he'll definitely pretend to agree to help you, then sell you a fake kryptonite. Then, when the time comes for the delivery, Superman will swoop down and catch you red-handed. Leah pondered for a moment, then quickly understood Batman's plan. That's right, they've been wanting to capture me for a long time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have leaked the fake news about the kryptonite. So, we're going to exploit this and turn the tables on them. Avengers, you use the kryptonite to help me hold Superman back. Flash, open a stable space-time corridor to let in reinforcements from your universe. Batman laid out his plan. He knew full well that kryptonite alone wouldn't be enough to defeat Superman, so in Batman's eyes, only Superman could defeat him. As for the rest of the group, Batman looked at Shazam and the Atom. Shazam, Atom, you two stay with the Flash for now. When the tunnel opens, they'll definitely be discovered, and the Justice League might show up then. Are you and the Avengers really safe on Superman's side? I mean, they have more people than us. What if they both come with a lot of people? Shazam interrupted Batman. Batman seemed to choke, speechless for a long time. You kid, that's heartbreaking. Although Batman also had Harley Quinn and Killer Frost on his side, the two girls didn't want to get too involved. Helping out at the bar was already the most they could do. Batman, how about I face Superman instead, and you help Barry open the tunnel, the Atom suggested. No. Superman is here to catch me. From what I know about him, he's definitely coming alone. He won't bring anyone else with him. At most, he'll bring Wonder Woman, Batman said, looking at Li Yang, as if asking if he was sure. One-on-one with Wonder Woman, I'm not at all afraid, but against Superman, I'm not sure. Li Yang hesitated to make any promises. The true situation would only be known after the fight. That's settled. I'll go get ready. Batman stood up and left the room. Adam Ray Palmer checked his watch. I have to go back to the office. Contact me if you need anything. Avenger, it's nice to meet you. Since Ray Palmer hadn't openly opposed Superman, he wasn't considered an enemy for now. Unrassable call to Lex Luthor. Luthor Corp, Lex's office. Mr. Lex, there's an unknown number calling you. The secretary, wearing high heels, held the phone to Lex Luthor. Thank you. You can go down first. I think I know who's calling me. The Injustice Universe's Lex is the same age as Superman, but because of his bald head, Lex looks much older than Superman. Lex Luthor, a low, synthesized voice came from the other end. Lex Luthor, I heard you have kryptonite. At the mention of kryptonite, Lex narrowed his eyes and said, I don't know where you heard that, Batman, but I advise you not to get your hands on it. With a beep, he hung up. Desperate Bat, or, although Lex hung up, his eyes remained fixed on the phone, certain that the caller was. In the Injustice universe, Lex and Superman were good friends. From Lex's perspective, he wouldn't do anything to harm Superman. He had leaked the news of his kryptonite solely to help Superman and lure Batman out. However, neither Lex nor Batman were fools. Lex knew that if he could set a trap for Batman, he would surely be able to set one for him, so he hung up the phone purely to test the other party. As the seconds ticked by, Lex's expression grew increasingly serious. Finally, after 30 seconds, the phone rang again, still from the same unknown number. Looks like a desperate bat. Lex smiled, shook his head, cleared his throat, and answered. I don't care who you are. I don't have any kryptonite. Please give up. He spoke so righteously that even Lex believed him. The deep, synthesized voice on the other end of the line continued, Mr. Lex, Superman has changed. If you truly are his friend, can you bear to watch him go further down the wrong path? That's not what a friend should do, wrong? Superman only punishes the guilty. He's made the world a lot less sinful. Lex's tone conveyed the feeling of trust and support for his friend. Batman's voice was clearly tinged with anger. Is Green Arrow a sinner too? Are the people of Atlantis who don't want Superman's rule sinners? Is Martian Manhunter, who attacked Wonder Woman, a sinner? He rattled off a list of superheroes who had sacrificed their lives in opposition to Superman. They were necessary sacrifices on the path to justice. Lex, Batman's voice suddenly rose several notches. I believe deep down you understand that what Superman did was wrong. I believe true justice still exists within you. As Superman's best friend, you should guide him to do the right thing, not blindly indulge him. Lex remained silent, giving the impression of genuine thought. Lex, don't let Superman repeat his mistakes. Punishing evil is right, but killing isn't right, at least not killing your own friends. Batman's words were heartfelt, and Lex fell into deep thought. After nearly 10 seconds, as if making a profound decision, Lex said, let me think about it. I'll give you an answer tonight at 10 o'clock. With that, he hung up. Lex leaned back in his office chair, seemingly pondering the authenticity of the call. Elsewhere, in the Batcave, Batman also hung up. Leah, listening nearby, quickly asked, "What's going on?" "Lex is suspicious of me, but my acting is okay. He'll sell me kryptonite, fake kryptonite," Batman said proudly. A clash of two Oscar-winning actors. "Sure enough, the tactics are quite sophisticated," Leah sighed, shaking her head. Chapter 187, He is Coming. That night, Lex arrived, agreeing to sell his kryptonite. He and Batman agreed to meet 3 days later at a military base 20 miles north of Metropolis. That evening, Batman gathered Lee, Flash, Atom, and Shazam, explained the situation, and laid out a detailed plan. "Batman, how long are you sure you can hold Superman back?" This was the 15th time he had asked him this question. "Superman, I have the kryptonite, so I think I can hold him back for a while. If you can bring reinforcements from our world, everything will be easy." "Okay, then we'll act as bait to attract Superman's attention. Flash, you open the space-time tunnel. Atom, Shazam, you follow Flash and ensure the tunnel remains open," Batman said. Everyone nodded. Understood. Lee's consciousness entered the system. This world's Shazam wasn't as innocent as his own. After an afternoon of interaction, their friendship level had only reached 80% of its normal level. 3 days would be enough to raise their friendship to friendship, but raising it to trust would be more difficult. Even in a friendly situation, the Shazam card still provides Leo with a significant magical bonus, especially when equipped on a main card. 3 days later, Batman assembled a group of mercenaries and boarded a truck with Leah to reach the agreed location. This military district was once the 7th Military District. After Superman's involvement in the world's conflicts, the U.S. government, fearing he would lose control, summoned Superman's adoptive parents, Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent, hoping to have a proper conversation with Superman. However, Superman was furious when he learned of such a request for his parents. Without a word, he flew to the 7th Military District and, with his heat vision, destroyed the area in an instant. Else survived. Leah and Batman hid in the wreckage of the 7th Military District. The sight of the scorched earth and shattered buildings would make even the bravest of hearts tremble with fear. "Oh my God, Batman, we're just doing a deal with Lex, right? Batman, tell us you've messed with Superman," the mercenary leader asked half-jokingly, half-serious, pacing the wreckage of the military compound. A cigar between his lips, quickly shook his head. "Of course, it's just a small deal, don't worry." Despite Batman's reassurance, the mercenaries still felt uneasy. After all, Batman was Superman's most wanted man. There was no bounty, otherwise these mercenaries would have tied him up and sent him to Superman. Batman could probably guess what they were thinking, but if Superman actually arrived, these mercenaries would be cannon fodder. Everyone, with their own thoughts, waited in hiding for a long time. Soon, a sentry standing guard on a high vantage point alerted them to an approaching convoy of armored vehicles. The logos on the vehicles revealed them to be LexCorp vehicles. "They're coming. Let's go out and greet them," Batman said, waving his hand. The mercenary leader, a bit nervous, asked, "Boss, they have more men. Are we really okay?" "I believe in Lex Luthor," Batman said, even though he didn't believe it himself. He stood up and walked out of the ruins. The mercenaries split into 3 teams, hiding on either side, while the rest followed Batman out. Lex's car drove up and stopped in front of Batman and the others. The door of the first car opened, but no one got out yet. Leah first saw a large bald head. It was indeed Lex Luthor. "Batman. It's really you. I brought what you wanted." Lex Luthor got out of the car, wearing a green suit that resembled the Kryptonian alloy suit of Batman in Leah's universe, but the color and design were very different. "Where's the thing?" Batman said with a proud expression, as if he didn't want to waste any more time on him. "It's in the car. Would you like to come and take a look?" Lex smiled and waved to his men. His mercenaries jumped out of the car, trotted to the trunk of the second car, and lifted out a large lead box. "What you want is inside, Batman. Would you like to open it and take a look?" Lex said. Batman nodded, lowered his rifle, and approached the lead box. His mercenaries, curious, also approached. He opened the box, and a green light emanated from within. However, this green light wasn't the green glow of kryptonite, but rather a lit green light bulb. "Wow." The next second, Lex's mercenaries raised their weapons and pointed them at Batman. Lex's expression was one of confidence. Batman, Superman has been looking for you for a long time. If you go and beg him for mercy now, maybe you can still get him." Batman, facing the multitude of guns, slowly raised his hand, his eyes scanning the crowd before him. Then, he fiercely kicked the lead box in front of him. "Shoot!" Batman shouted, then dove to the right, throwing himself onto Lex's mercenary, blocking him with his hands. Gunfire rang out, and the man was struck multiple times. Batman seized his rifle and fired back in Lex's direction. Those who had been lying in ambush on both sides, hearing Batman's command, also opened fire. Ta-da-da! Flames erupted, and in an instant, the two groups engaged in a fierce clash. Although Batman's forces had a geographical advantage, they were, after all, a group of amateur mercenaries, significantly inferior in equipment and other aspects to Lex's. The battle raged for 5 or 6 minutes, leaving Batman's men suffering heavy casualties. Then, a sonic boom echoed from the sky. Everyone looked up to see a black speck on the horizon, trailing a trail of air, hurtling towards them. "You betrayed me, Lex," Batman roared, his voice piercing with grief, like the final cry of a man cornered in despair. Leah, who had been idling the entire time, twitched his lips at the sight. This Batman was acting like a clown. Someone who didn't know better would have thought he was cornered. Boom! Another explosion echoed from the sky, and a red and blue figure descended from the sky, shattering the ground with a thunderous thud. Lex signaled his men, and his mercenaries gradually made way, blocking the retreat of Batman's remaining men. Superman slowly stood up, his eyes blankly fixed on Batman's men. With just one look, all of Batman's mercenaries were terrified, falling to their knees and trembling. Chapter 188, Fake Kryptonite? "Bruce, you've betrayed me again," Superman's voice boomed, like a hammer, hammering down on his heart. Even clad in his anti-Superman armor, Batman felt a sense of powerlessness. Facing a being like Superman, Batman understood that he was ultimately only human. "Clark, don't make the same mistake again. There's still time for everyone to turn back," Batman urged. "Wrong," Superman chuckled self-deprecatingly. "Lois? Or me and her child? What did they do wrong? Do you think you're wrong? Lois would never want to see you like this." Batman stepped forward and spoke. Superman's rage reached its peak at Batman's words, and the next second, his eyes suddenly turned a crimson red. "If I had stopped the evil in the world earlier, perhaps she wouldn't have died." Before he could finish his words, Superman's eyes blazed with scorching red lasers, sweeping across, instantly vaporizing the remaining mercenaries. Not even an escaped scream his lips. Just as his heat vision was about to capture Batman, Leah leaped into the air, carrying Batman, and flew away at breakneck speed. "Who is this guy?" Superman was stunned. He had seen Leah earlier, but hadn't paid much attention. He hadn't expected this person to possess superpowers. Bang! Superman, without another word, dove forward. In an instant, Superman caught up with Leah and Batman, then dove in front of Leah. "Stop!" The voice was like a bell, numbing Batman's ears. Leah flung Batman down from the sky, continuing his speed as he charged towards Superman. Batman fell, unfurling his bat cape and gliding down like a glider. Superman stared at Leah, somewhat bewildered by his intentions. "Confront him head-on? Who gave you the courage?" In an instant, Leah was within 5 meters of Superman. He no longer concealed his weakness or wave of his hand. The kryptonite sword within his silver bracelet suddenly struck out. A flash of green light flashed, and Superman's face changed drastically, and he retreated rapidly. "How did you get the kryptonite?" "Of course Lex sold it to me." "He betrayed you long ago?" "Impossible." Superman and Leah distanced themselves, and a fiery light emanated from his eyes, their temperature rising rapidly. A sizzle. Facing the blazing light, Leah retracted the kryptonite sword. Silver-white electricity flashed through his body, and his speed suddenly increased. Superman, floating in midair, his eyes moving faster and faster, instantly captured Leah's movements and sensed the kryptonite in Leah's hand. He showed no sign of nervousness, but instead a hint of a sneer. Meeting Leah's sword swing, he suddenly struck out with a straight punch. Bang! Swash! In a flash of lightning, Leah's kryptonite sword slashed against Superman's chest, and Superman's fist also struck Leah. Two voices echoed simultaneously, and a fan-shaped shockwave erupted behind Leah. His entire body flew backward uncontrollably, plummeting like a meteor. The rumble carved a deep gully into the ground. As for Superman, he was struck by the kryptonite sword, a gash in his chest. However, Superman remained calm, oblivious to the wound. The wound healed almost rapidly under the sunlight. Leah clutched his chest as he rose from the dirt, feeling his internal organs churning. Damn. A top-tier gold legendary, only one step away from orange epic. Even our Superman wouldn't be able to defeat him. Leah rubbed his chest, facing the sun as he recovered from his injuries. He didn't know if the kryptonite from a different universe had a limited effect on Superman, or if Superman at this level was simply less afraid of it. The terrifying power Superman could unleash at the close-range blow from the kryptonite sword had caught Leah by surprise. The Superman of the Injustice universe was simply too strong. Batman, meanwhile, planned to quickly dispatch Lex and the remaining mercenaries, but his heart skipped a beat when he saw the scene in the sky. Kryptonite? Why couldn't kryptonite restrain Superman's strength? Could it be fake kryptonite? Looking at Leah, sent flying some 15 miles by Superman's punch, Batman's mouth twitched. Was he still alive? He'd been counting on Leah to hold Superman off for 20 minutes, but now, he'd been sent flying in a single blow. Could he really hold out until the tunnel opened? Superman narrowed his eyes in Leah's direction and saw that he was standing up unharmed. Furthermore, his internal organs, though slightly injured, were healing incredibly quickly. Interesting, Superman ignored the battle between Batman, Lex, and the others below, leaping over them and soaring above Leah's head. Who are you, anyway? Why have I never heard of you? Could it be that you came from another world with the Flash? Superman quickly connected the dots. It wasn't hard to guess. The Flash traveled through time and space, and suddenly a strange and powerful being appeared. Wasn't that obvious enough? Leah stared solemnly at Superman in the sky card. Instantly, the power of Shazam's 6 Greek gods was also bestowed upon Leah. This perfectly complemented Leah's original godhood of Ares, the god of war, and now that of the god of punishment. God of punishment, that was Leah's magic word for transformation. The next second, lightning flashed in the sky, striking down in an instant. Superman's eyes narrowed, and he exclaimed in astonishment, "Ancient God! Do you possess the same powers of the ancient gods as Shazam?" Clash. Lightning bathed Leah's body. He didn't transform into another form like Shazam or Black Adam, for he was already a god, and now he was simply in full divine form. At that moment, Leah's eyes blazed a dazzling silver white, and countless silver arcs of electricity slithered across his body like countless tiny snakes, a god descending from heaven. Thunder, Leah felt as if he were one with the universe, his every move seeming to mobilize its very power. With a bang. Within the electric field created by the lightning, Leah waved his hand, and a brilliant bolt of lightning suddenly shot out, thundering towards Superman. Even though Superman didn't know magic, he could sense the immense power contained within it. His pupils narrowed, a look of disbelief evident. This lightning, to him, felt far more threatening than kryptonite. A second later, Superman's eyes glowed crimson again. The blazing rays collided with Leah's lightning with a bang, shaking the very space. Within a few breaths, 2 balls of energy, one silver and one red, entangled and swirled, finally exploding with a bang, spreading in all directions. Chapter 189, Confrontation. Amidst the whirlwind of exploding energy, a brilliant bolt of lightning suddenly broke through the airwaves and shot towards Superman. What? Superman's eyes froze. Was this the lightning Leah had fired? In the previous clash, the other party had actually outmaneuvered him. Even with Superman's superhuman brain, he couldn't wrap his head around it. In an instant, the lightning reached him. Superman instinctively raised his hand and swung it, as if swatting a fly, attempting to shatter the lightning bolt. Crack! The moment Superman made contact with the lightning, a stinging pain shot through his palm. A small cut. No blood, but the skin was broken. Superman frowned. If his skin had been cut by kryptonite, there would be no problem. Even if it was kryptonite from another universe, it was still kryptonite speed from the Speed Force. Leah equipped a flash card in the secondary slot. While it absorbed only a third of the speed power of the primary slot, Leah's base stats were high, offering numerous bonuses. Crash! The next second, Leah suddenly appeared before Superman, his fist shrouded in silver lightning, radiant and powerful. Shazam's lightning possessed a more magical element, but facing the magical penetration of Leah's divine lightning, he was no different from someone with zero resistance. Boom! A punch struck Superman's face, lacerations, but before the blood flowed, the wound healed. Superman, his eyes furious, returned Leah's blow. But Leah wasn't about to stand still and wait for Superman's blow. The instant he swung his fist, he moved, trailing silver lightning in his wake, frantically dodging swift, the rumbling sound like rolling thunder, deafening. Batman's battle on the ground almost stopped, Ant's eyes turned to the sky. It was hard for them to imagine that there would be someone who could fight Superman to this extent. At the same time, on the Watchtower, Cyborg detected abnormal spatial data in the cutting-edge technology laboratory in Central City. Wonder Woman, a space-time gate is about to open. Do you want to go and take a look? Cyborg asked. Hearing Cyborg's words, Diana's eyes shifted from the satellite monitoring. She frowned and said, "What's going on? What is Barry doing? Wait a minute, let me compare the recent space-time anomaly signals. Wait, the data this time is several times higher than before, and I understand, he wants to open a stable space-time channel." Cyborg quickly analyzed the space-time anomaly signal and explained. Wonder Woman shrugged. What does Barry want to do by opening the time-space portal? The man in black fighting Superman might be reinforcements he's summoned from another universe. Barry wants more. Cyborg quickly understood the Flash's intention and pressed the communication button. Hal, Adam, Hawkgirl, head to the Advanced Technology Lab immediately and capture the Flash. Wonder Woman glanced at the screen displaying Superman's satellite and said, "You go stop Barry. I'll help Superman." While Superman didn't necessarily need Wonder Woman's help, it was clear that she was more concerned about opening the time-space portal. "Whatever you want. Hal and the other three should be able to handle the Flash's problem," Cyborg said nonchalantly. Receiving Cyborg's orders, Green Lantern, Black Adam, and Hawkgirl quickly rushed to the Advanced Technology Lab. "The other world is ready. Run, Barry, run." Ray Palmer, the Atom, operated the laboratory instruments. Once the data was normal, he urged Barry to run. Hearing this, Barry put on the Flash's helmet and assumed a running stance, his eyes flashing with yellow arcs of electricity. The next second, with a loud crash, Barry disappeared in a flash of lightning. The particle collider test site was a huge hollow, a long enough runway for Barry, and he could continue accelerating. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yellow lightning flashed across the particle collider test site, its frequency increasing. Shazam, holding a cup of Coke, looked at the site's surveillance camera with some anticipation. Has the time tunnel not appeared yet? I wonder what I'm like in their world. Time tunnels aren't difficult to open, but opening a stable one takes some effort. It requires the Flashes of both worlds to be running simultaneously. Ray Palmer shrugged and answered Shazam's second question. As for you in the other world, your appearance will definitely be the same, but your personality and life experiences may differ. However, based on the information Leah has shared with us, his world and ours are very similar. Then why hasn't their Superman turned evil? Shazam said with a hint of envy. He preferred the former Justice League to the present. Maybe, it's because Leah locked the Joker in the Phantom Zone. Ray Palmer naturally remembered that it was the Joker who Superman and the entire world drove insane. Without the Joker, this world would never be what it is today. The time tunnel data fluctuations are stable, and the tunnel is about to open. Ray Palmer's voice was filled with excitement. At this moment, the surveillance cameras outside the cutting-edge technology laboratory first received 3 uninvited visitors. It's Black Adam, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern. Shazam glanced at the screen, recognizing them. Ray Palmer's expression suddenly darkened. He pulled a small black object from his arms, revealing his Atom suit. Shazam, it's our turn. Activating the suit, Ray Palmer's Atom suit suddenly expanded in size, and he quickly donned it, ready for battle. Outside the state-of-the-art laboratory, Black Adam, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl hovered in midair, staring silently below. I can feel the Flash. The tunnel is about to open, but it won't open until then. Black Adam raised his hand, lightning pulsing above his palm. He sensed the Flash's movement, then, finding the correct direction, swung out a bolt of lightning. Crack! Almost instantly, Shazam appeared in midair, his hand raised, also releasing a bolt of lightning. Boom! The two bolts collided, sending shockwaves radiating outward. Shazam and the Atom stood in front of the state-of-the-art laboratory, facing Black Adam and the others. He said sternly, "Sorry, you are not welcome here. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190, Silly Zam vs. 3. 2 vs. 3. Especially with Shazam and Black Adam evenly matched, the Atom was fine in a one-on-one fight, but facing two at once was simply too much for him. Just as the Atom was desperately trying to decide whether to stall or employ a strategy, Shazam charged without a word. Hurrah! With a roar, Shazam charged forward, swinging his fists in a desperate attempt to take on the three. Green Lantern clenched his fist, extended his wrist, and his green ring transformed into a massive hand, snatching Shazam up. Whack! Shazam, his magical power surging, instantly broke free from the green ring's hand. But before he could make the next move, Black Adam had already rushed Shazam and punched him back. Hawkgirl, in perfect unison, flew behind Shazam, clutching her legendary mace and hurling it at him like a baseball. "Have you forgotten about me?" the Atom suit charged, and he raised his hand, unleashing a barrage of energy that rained down on Hawkgirl. Faced with such a dense energy onslaught, Hawkgirl abandoned her attack on Shazam and retreated, using her mace to block the Atom's energy blasts. Black Adam glanced at the Atom. As a self-proclaimed god, he looked down upon mortals who exploited technology god, and so was he. Hawkgirl, capable of infinite reincarnation, barely qualified as a demigod. The majesty of a god was not something a mere mortal could challenge. With a resounding thud, Black Adam's foot landed on the Atom's chest. Fortunately, the Atom's suit was made of an indestructible white dwarf alloy. The kick only sent the Atom plummeting from the air, and the rapid recoil of the Atom's jets deflected Black Adam's attack. Thunder, crackling. Shazam was engaged in a back-and-forth exchange with Green Lantern when he caught sight of Black Adam stepping on the Atom. He unleashed a bolt of lightning through the air. The lightning struck Black Adam. Both possessed magical immunity, so the damage wasn't significant. However, Shazam's lightning successfully attracted Black Adam's aggression, hold them off. Until the special fluctuations in the cutting-edge technology laboratory intensified again. The special corridor has appeared. If we don't stop it, it will be too late. Black Adam, you deal with Shazam. Hawkgirl, you hold on to the Atom, and I'll deal with the Flash, Green Lantern Hal Jordan shouted to his two companions. Black Adam snorted, why should I obey your orders? Do you want to invite those from other universes to cause unnecessary trouble for Superman? Green Lantern retorted bluntly. Black Adam's expression darkened at the mention of Superman. 10 years ago, his seal was released, allowing him to fight Superman, who had a low magic resistance, for a while. 8 years ago, Superman's wife and child were accidentally killed by the Joker. When Superman asked Black Adam to sign a peace treaty, Black Adam refused. He was then pinned to the ground and beaten until he lost all his temper. Fortunately, Superman's ideals resonated with Black Adam, and he joined Superman's team. Okay, for Superman's sake, Black Adam gritted his teeth and rushed towards Shazam. Hawkgirl also cooperated, entangled the Atom. The overall strength difference between the two was not that great, so neither could defeat the other for a while. Holy thunder, Lee roared, his voice echoing through the sky. In an instant, the entire sky was enveloped in thick, dark clouds. Countless silver bolts, like azure dragons, streaked through the clouds, rumbling with thunder. The next second, countless bolts of lightning rained down from the sky, like a torrential downpour of lightning. A dazzling curtain of light shone, and a rolling, blasting sound illuminated the entire world. Facing the torrential downpour of thunder, Superman's expression became utterly solemn. He had experienced Leah's divine power before. It hurt, it really hurt when it struck him. Bang! A sonic boom erupted from the spot. Superman, darting through the thunderstorm, drew a deep breath and blew it out sharply. A cold breath. The extreme cold froze all the moisture in the air, forming a 10-meter thick ice sheet in front of Superman. Down from the sky, it could provide a slight barrier. All Superman needed was a chance to reach Liam. I really underestimated you. You're more powerful than Shazam, Black Adam, and the others. Superman flashed behind Leah, his speed reaching extremes. No one on unjust Earth, save the Flash, could match Superman's speed. The moment he appeared behind Leah, he swung his fist, and a sharp crackling sound filled the air. It was as if it wasn't a fist that was striking, but a planet. Leah's face was grim, his divine power and speed force whirling frantically. He retreated backward, lightning entwining his arms and crossing them across his chest. Boom! Superman's fist descended, centered on the point where the fist met Leah's arms, unleashing a visible, pure white shockwave. Metropolis and the few remaining buildings along its edge. The sound of the explosion resonated throughout the sky. Superman wasn't feeling well either. The thunderous divine power emanating from Leah's body exploded, affecting him as well, leaving cuts and lacerations on his body. Then, all the wounds healed. The battle lasted for nearly 10 minutes, and Leah's divine power was depleted greatly. Even with the Shazam card's boost, he couldn't stand such intense depletion to Superman. His depletion was also high, but it was completely restored in a matter of moments. He was almost constantly in peak condition. Bah! Shameless cheat! How can I fight this? With the infinite armor cheat and the health lock cheat, how can I fight? Leah spat out a mouthful of blood, and his injuries healed. But what he couldn't recover quickly was his divine power. If only I had infinite divine power. Leah thought. If I had infinite divine power, I could just keep using my ultimate skill, and I could crush Superman with it. Chapter 191, God and God. Unable to dodge, Leah took a deep breath, steeled himself, and once again concentrated his divine power, bracing himself to meet Superman's charge. Boom! Superman's impact sent Leah flying head-on, his legs digging deep into the ground, creating a gully that half-submerged him. Leah, finding his footing slightly, roared wildly, grasping Superman with both hands. With a powerful effort, he lifted him up and prepared to throw him to the ground. Superman was lifted by Leah, but he grabbed Leah's arm and yanked, sending his head crashing down towards him. Clang! Leah's head was slammed into the ground, his entire world spinning. Superman's head-chasing technique lived up to its reputation. While Leah was dazed, Superman dropped back to the ground, grabbed Leah's feet, and swung him forcefully into the air. Swish! Leah was flung into the air, and Superman slammed down with his fist, sending a dramatic shockwave through the sky. Boom! A figure plummeted from the sky like a meteor landing on the ground. The next moment, Superman approached. Get out, Leah raged. He was now a battle mage, but even a battle mage couldn't withstand the close-quarters attack of a berserker with a health lock. He raised his hands, concentrating all his divine power, and countless silver-white lightning bolts fused together. A divine lightning spear. Countless bolts of divine power fused together, forming a spear as thick as a bowl, emitting a faint blue glow as it pierced Superman. Clash! The air around him was thick with electric ions. Superman moved at breakneck speed, dodging sideways. But no matter how fast Superman was, he couldn't outrun light. The divine lightning spear suddenly struck Superman's left shoulder, shattering a mass of flesh and blood. Superman's body plummeted back, crashing to the ground, creating a deep crater. Leah gasped for air, his body frantically absorbing sunlight and the energy between heaven and earth, drawing it into his body and transforming it into divine power to replenish his energy. The lightning spear strike, capable of severely injuring Superman, had nearly exhausted Leah's remaining divine power. As for Superman, his brow furrowed, his eyes lost in thought as he gazed at the rapidly healing wound. How many years had it been? How many years had he been uninjured? Since his battle with Doomsday over a decade ago, his power had reached the level of golden legend, and nothing in this world could harm him. It was then that Superman was hailed as the god of men. Now, this man had suddenly appeared and made a god bleed. A faint smile played on Superman's lips. He vaguely remembered Batman's question, "Do you bleed?" during their first confrontation. Countless lightning bolts converged in the sky, and Leah's body hovered in midair, receiving the baptism of lightning. Simultaneously, Leah raised his right hand, and the second lightning coal spearized. The air once again felt the ionized current. Superman touched the wound on his shoulder. This time, the healing was slower. A faint electric current could be seen around the wound, hindering the healing process. It was only a temporary hindrance, not a complete suppression. The second lightning spear finally took shape, even more powerful than the first. Lightning flashed continuously within 100 meters, like a vast net course. It was only a minor problem, not even a serious injury. What Superman truly cared about was how many more such attacks Leah could unleash. He didn't know Leah's current condition, otherwise he wouldn't have such concerns. Don't be fooled by the countless lightning bolts surrounding Leah. That was just a false illusion he'd painstakingly created by overdrawing his divine power infinite power cheat, Leah thought, locking onto Superman with his mental power. Then, like a fully drawn bow, He hurled his lightning spear. This feeling, Superman's brow furrowed. If it had been a random rocket, Superman would have preferred to charge headfirst into it, but this blinding flash of lightning made him abandon his usual tactics. He stomped his foot on the ground, causing it to collapse into a massive crater. With a booming sound, he quickly moved away. Batman, Lex, and the others watching this epic battle from afar were horrified. Batman had thought Leah could hold off Superman for 20 minutes, a remarkable feat. But now, a bolt of lightning had suddenly struck Superman, forcing him to retreat. Oh my god, what kind of monster did the Flash invite in? Batman cursed with a laugh, then breathed a sigh of relief. The stronger Leah became, the happier Batman was. Once the tunnel opened and the enemy's cosmic reinforcements arrived, defeating Injustice Superman would be a piece of cake. But, could the tunnel open successfully? Batman shook his head, trusting the Flash and the others now. On the battlefield, Superman broke the sound barrier, sprinting away from Leah's lightning spear, giving himself time to recover from his shoulder injury. Leah suddenly raised both hands, drawing his divine power, and the lightning spear, gleaming with an incredibly dazzling light, suddenly turned and pursued Superman. Asshole! Superman saw the lightning spear swerving towards him, and he didn't know whether to say MMP or not. This thing even tracks me. After turning, Superman saw the lightning spear about to catch up with him, but fortunately he stopped running. Facing the blue glowing lightning, his eyes suddenly turned scarlet. Bang! Another sonic boom was heard, and before Superman could unleash his heat vision, someone suddenly appeared before him. Clad in tight armor, her slender figure unfolded before her eyes. She crossed her arms, blocking the incoming lightning spear. With a clatter, the lightning spear fell with a thud, but it disappeared without a trace, like a stone sinking into the sea. Diana, you? Superman's eyes were puzzled. Diana smiled, turned back, and raised the protective silver bracelets on her arms, as if to say, I have received this lightning. Sure enough, the protective silver bracelets on Diana's arms were entwined with dense silver-white lightning. Chapter 192, Angry Superman. From a distance, Leah watched helplessly as Diana used the protective silver bracelets on her arms to absorb his divine lightning spear. That would have been fine, but the key was that the girl turned back and exchanged glances with Superman. He knew this was the Wonder Woman of the Injustice universe, and not the same person as his own idiot, but just looking at their faces, they were exactly the same. Leah suddenly felt an indescribable feeling, a very bad one. With this feeling, his previously depleted divine power suddenly surged by half. Bah! Bastard! Leah didn't know why he cursed, but he felt uncomfortable without saying so. Despite the distance between them, one was an ancient god, the other a mortal god. Everyone's hearing was naturally sharp. Leah's whispered curses were heard by the other. Superman's face instantly changed, becoming extremely, and as for Diana, she was like a raging angry lioness. Asshole, what are you calling us? The Diana of this world didn't know Leah. Such a curse from a stranger would have infuriated anyone. With that, Diana thrust her hands apart, facing Leah, and slammed the protective silver bracelet. The divine power imbued within exploded, repelling the divine lightning spear, now more than doubled in strength lightning spear. As a god, he naturally resisted some damage. Even so, he couldn't withstand the overwhelming force of this one. As Leah dodged, he vowed to himself, from now on, when traveling through time and space, anyone else could leave behind fire, but he would definitely bring her. Boom! 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 The divine lightning spear pierced the sky, its massive mass seemingly slender against the vast expanse of sky and earth. But this slender ray of light, descending from the sky, struck the ground, erupting in a deafening explosion. In a moment, the earth trembled, and a large chunk of land collapsed. The metropolis, already in ruins, now resembled a lone boat swaying in the wind and rain, threatened to collapse at any moment. A shockwave spread along the ground, and Batman and his companions scrambled for cover. The next second, the shockwave swept past, carrying a whirlwind of sand and debris. The winds died down for a moment, and Batman and his companions finally peered up to gaze at the sky again. Wonder Woman's arrival was a good sign for Batman, as it meant the Flash had lost a formidable opponent. However, Batman didn't know the status of the space-time tunnel, whether it had opened successfully, or how long it would take. Overthinking was pointless. The two groups in the sky were already staring at each other from across the void. Leah narrowly dodged Wonder Woman's amplified lightning spear. Though slightly affected, he wasn't seriously injured. He faced Superman and Wonder Woman with a serious expression. "Who are you, and why do you possess divine powers?" Wonder Woman held a sword in one hand and a golden lasso of truth in the other. She could sense a familiar power from Li Yang, a magical force unique to the gods. Diana had sensed this power before when she faced Ares, the god of war. Li weighed the situation. As I said before, in a one-on-one fight, he wouldn't necessarily be afraid of anyone. In fact, if Wonder Woman hadn't intervened, he would have already had the upper hands in the fight against Superman. Superman even dodged my attacks, so it's okay to boast about having the upper hand. But the problem is that Li's divine power is running low. And facing Wonder Woman and Superman simultaneously, the situation is very unfavorable. Wait for the teammates. After all, my mission was just to hold Superman back. Once reinforcements arrived from my own universe, defeating him together would also complete the system's mission. If the space-time tunnel could be successfully opened, thinking this, Li had unleashed his remaining divine power, and thunder flashed across the sky once again. "If you want to know who I am, then defeat me first." Li's voice resounded like rolling thunder, echoing through the sky. Sensing the powerful aura emanating from Li once again, Superman and Wonder Woman both stood in full alert, concentrating and awaiting the attack. "Haha!" Li let out a low roar, his aura reaching its peak. Just as waited for Li's next attack, he moved, breaking the sound barrier 20 times, trailing a long trail of silver lightning behind him, and with a whoosh, he was gone. Superman was stunned, as was Wonder Woman. So were Batman, Lex, and the others watching from afar. What the hell? Where's the promised showdown? What's the point of running away? Batman's face was filled with rage, and he felt like crying. Leah had escaped, but he was still here. If Superman wanted to catch him now, he'd be infallible, even if he tried to dig a hole like a mole. However, Superman and Wonder Woman ignored Batman. Having been tricked by Leah, their rage, already building up, surged to its limit. Superman thought Batman had gotten away, so he had. If he really wanted to catch him, he could use his X-ray vision to scan every corner of the city, and even satellite surveillance of every city. Finding someone without superpowers would be easy. He just wanted to find out what was going on with Leah. Bang! Bang! Two sonic booms echoed simultaneously, and Superman, at full speed, chased Leah with a gust of air trailing behind him. His eyes locked on Leah, determined to follow him wherever he went. As for Wonder Woman, she was much slower than Superman, and she flew a long way behind them. They were reduced to mere black dots. "It seems Carl is truly enraged." Diana shook her head, silently praying for Li Yang. In her opinion, if Superman had been angered, Li was likely doomed. After all, the Superman of today wouldn't abide by the no-kill rule. Many people in this world were unaware of the terrifying nature of a reckless Superman. Batman, standing still, watched Superman and Wonder Woman fly away. He silently retreated, jumped into the Batmobile, and slammed the accelerator for a furious drive. Lex, recovering from the devastating battle, commanded his mercenaries to pursue Batman. In a cutting-edge technology laboratory, the flashes of both universes simultaneously sped, using the speed force to break through the barriers of time and space, establishing a stable passage. However, this passage wasn't as smooth as expected, because the Flash in Li's universe wasn't fast enough. Far from it. "Please, faster, faster. The tunnel will stabilize soon." The Flash of the Injustice universe accelerated again, nearly reaching his maximum speed. The opponent's lack of speed was only compensated by his own. The Flash roared, his body ablaze with yellow lightning as he sped and raced in frantic circles. Zizzle, zizzle. In mid-air, space became incredibly viscous, resembling a dark blue glutinous rice ball. After a long writhing motion, a crack gradually opened in the center. As the Flash continued to run, the wide Holland. "The tunnel is almost done," the Flash exclaimed excitedly, but at that moment, the ceiling of the basement containing the particle collision experiment suddenly shattered, sending a burst of green light radiating from it. 5 more chapters to come. Please support me with your monthly votes. Chapter 193, Green Lantern vs. Lightning. The basement ceiling seemed to have been shattered by a massive green fist. The Flash dodged the falling debris and, after another lap, saw a green figure slowly descend from the pit. It was Green Lantern. Arriving in the basement of the particle collision experiment, Green Lantern immediately spotted the space-time tunnel suspended in midair, about to take shape. He raised his fist, his green ring radiating light. "Sorry, I can't let you open the space-time tunnel." Before he could finish his words, Green Lantern swung his fist, and a beam of green energy erupted, creating a wall in the Flash's path. "Barry, I know you can vibrate through walls, but this is an energy wall. You won't be able to penetrate it. Stop struggling," Green Lantern's voice echoed, and a flash of lightning appeared ahead. The Flash stared silently at the green wall before him. It was an energy wall materialized by the green ring's energy. Vibrating through walls involves channeling the speed force through every cell, causing them to vibrate at the same frequency as the object, thus allowing them to pass through the object. Perhaps the energy isn't solid, despite its appearance. "I don't even need to punch through walls," the Flash thought to himself. Instead of slowing down, his speed accelerated again. With another sonic boom, he arrived in a flash at the energy wall created by Green Lantern. He threw a punch. A supersonic punch. Like many Flashes from alternate universes, the Flash of the Injustice universe had faced Iron Man. After being beaten 3 times by Iron Man, he finally mastered a masterstroke, the supersonic punch. At breakneck speed, he channeled the speed force into kinetic energy, concentrated it into his fist, and unleashed a powerful punch. This was a move that could either pierce the opponent or shatter himself. Boom! The Flash's fist swung out, instantly shattering the wall before him. He then continued his circuit at the same speed. The space-time tunnel in the air opened even wider at this. Unsuccessful, Green Lantern attacked again. The energy from his green ring transformed into a high-speed bus, barreling towards the Flash. Whoosh! The Flash dodged them effortlessly, and then a second car, then a third. The basement of the particle collision experiment, once spacious, now resembled a crowded street, with countless vehicles flowing continuously. The Flash cursed internally. He could punch through a wall, a car, but there were at least 50 in front of him. They ranged from sedans to SUVs, buses to trucks, all kinds of vehicles. Helplessly, the Flash dodged and dodged, naturally slowing down. The space-time tunnel trembled in midair, its center, having just opened, showing signs of shrinking again. Seeing this, Green Lantern's lips curled into a smile, and he used his imagination to create one problem after another for the Flash. For example, the ground was littered with nails. Or, cats and dogs lined up, defecating everywhere. For example, a green-haired old woman, trembling with a cane, crossed the street. The Flash's face darkened to its core. How could she really think this was a street? This was insane. But, why, even though he knew the old woman was fake, did he still want to stop and help her? Shameless Green Lantern, Barry Allen, the Flash, closed his eyes and roared. The obstacles he had set up didn't faze him. The Green Lantern simply wove a vast net, countless chains swirling through the air, blocking everything like a spider web. This again affected the Flash's speed. Over time, the space-time tunnel became extremely unstable, poised to collapse at any moment. Just then, a bolt of lightning struck from the pit on the ceiling, piercing the tunnel. With a loud boom, the already precarious tunnel finally collapsed. He was on the verge of success, yet at this critical moment, he failed. If only he were faster, if only his other self were faster. He closed his eyes and sighed. Shazam finally caught up, trailed by Hawkgirl, not the Atom. It was clear that the Atom, after all, was a human in an atomic suit. Fighting a demigod was a stretch. "Flash, it's over," Black Adam said gravely. Green Lantern showed no interest in continuing his attack. He fixed his gaze on the Flash, sighed, and said, "Barry, why are you doing this? I don't want to see any more friends die." The Flash lowered his head, his voice trembling. Green Lantern's eyes dimmed, and he shook his head. "Neither do I. That's why I'm stopping you. Don't add to the unnecessary casualties." Black Adam glanced at Shazam and snorted, "Why waste time talking to them? Capture them and let Superman have his say." They had called for Superman, but received no response. Cyborg had sent a message, telling them that Superman was busy. As for what he was busy with, he didn't tell them. Hawkgirl sheathed her weapon, folded her arms over her chest, and questioned Black Adam. "Does it have to be like this?" Aside from Black Adam, the others present were once good friends and comrades. Now that things had turned out like this, Hawkgirl felt bad. Shazam, standing by, looked grim, and said in a serious tone, "I can understand Superman, but I won't forgive him. He killed my friend. Superman's not to blame, it's me." The Flash took a few steps to the right, slumping against the wall. "If I hadn't tried to change the timeline, things wouldn't have come to this. It was me who killed Ollie, Arthur, John Jones." "Enough," Green Lantern roared, his gaze sweeping between Shazam and the Flash. "No one needs to die today. Barry, Billy, come with me to the prison in the Watchtower. Don't cause any more trouble. Superman won't kill you." While the Superman of the Injustice universe was known for his unbridled killing spree, he didn't kill anyone he saw. He only targeted those with whom he had a conflict. So, as long as Flash and the others stayed in prison, Superman wouldn't kill them. A beam of green light struck Flash, transforming into a set of shackles. Flash didn't struggle, tired, unwilling to resist any longer. Unable to open the space-time tunnel, this world was over helpless. "Please, is that it? Is that the end?" Black Adam and Hawkgirl stared at him from either side, saying, "Yes, it's over. No one can stand up to Superman." Okay. "So, are Batman and the Avengers still alive?" Shazam asked. Hands on his hips went their separate ways, "and I hadn't played the game in ages. I even joked with some friends, if the LPL wins one day, remember to let me know, and today, I finally don't have to wait any longer, because today, Invictus Gaming won. The championship the LPL has waited so long for. It really is true. For those who pursue their dreams, all their hard work and dedication will be rewarded. Let's encourage each other." Chapter 194, Thunder God Punishment. Injustice Earth. Two voices, one in front of the other, darted through the sky at breakneck speed. As Leah's divine power depleted, then quickly recovered, then sped up madly, then depleted again. This cycle repeated 3 times, gradually closing the gap between him and Superman. Under the yellow sunlight, Superman remained at peak performance. Leah's injuries had fully recovered, except for his divine power. "Is this never going to end? They've chased me around the Earth twice, and they're still chasing me." Leah was almost in tears. He had done nothing, so why was he being chased through the heavens and Earth? He tried every way to throw Superman off, but all failed. After all, Superman had his clairvoyance, leaving him nowhere to hide. Zzz. Leah's divine power drained, and his speed gradually slowed. Superman, as if anticipating this moment, flashed a fiery light in his eyes. Swish. Feeling the heat surge behind him, Leah quickly dodged left and right. He was incredibly fast, but Superman was no slouch either. From afar, it looked like a streak of red light spanning the sky, splitting it in two. "Damn it," Leah cursed softly, feeling a burning pain on his back. He had finally been caught by Superman's heat vision. In reality, Superman was relieved. The other man had circled the Earth twice, and the chase had made Superman question his life. This guy could run faster than the Flash, and fly. Hit by Superman's heat vision, Leah's body was unsteady, and he staggered from the sky, crashing into a mountain top. Rumble. The entire mountain was penetrated, and it collapsed with a rumbling sound, with dust covering the sky. "I wonder how long you can run," Superman smiled triumphantly. He placed his hands on his hips, hovering above Leah's fall, his eyes locked on him. If he tried to escape again, he would strike immediately. Below, Leah, trapped in the rubble, brushed off the surrounding debris, and looked up at the sky. The next second, Superman moved, and Leah instinctively raised her hands and crossed them in front of her. Boom! Like a cloud bomb exploding, a violent shockwave erupted. Superman struck down, leaving Leah no time to react. He swung his fist again, fiercely striking. Boom! 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 Muffled thuds echoed from the earth, the cracked ground shattered by the terrifying force. Leah's divine power was depleted, relying solely on the 22% of his Kryptonian bloodline's base attributes. With only 22% Kryptonian bloodline, facing Superman's top-tier golden legendary power, it was clearly insufficient. Has the space-time tunnel not opened yet? Are the reinforcements coming? Or, Leah struggled to cope with Superman's attacks, his injuries accumulating faster than he could recover. If this continued, he would truly die. Divine power, familiar divine power. At that moment, Leah sensed a strangely familiar surge of divine power. He almost mistook it for his own idiot Diana, but judging by the rugged aura, the power's owner was likely a man. Ling. Ling. A few soft clinks of steel echoed, And then a figure clad in brown and black armor appeared behind Superman, brandishing a glowing red sword in both hands. He lashed out at Superman. Clang! The force of the blow sent Superman flying, but the sword, radiating immense divine power, shattered in an instant. Ares, god of war, Leah took in the man's features. It was Diana's brother, the universe's #1 scapegoat. Ares, the god of war. Ares, who gives you the guts to attack me? Superman slightly spread his arms to steady himself from the backflip, then thrust his fist forward and charged. Boom! The punch struck Ares, shattering his brown-black armor into a heap of scrap metal. I suddenly miss you so much, Carl. What Superman had just shattered was merely Ares' clone. After years of knowing him, Ares naturally knew Superman's abilities. Unless you were completely insane, you absolutely shouldn't confront Superman head-on. Superman turned with a displeased expression. Ares lifted Leah up, lightning flashing above his palm as he channeled his divine power to Leah. Leah naturally accepted the offer of divine power. Since Ares' power came from the same source as his own, compatibility wasn't a concern. Leah could absorb as much as she wanted, without any side effects. Seeing Ares supporting Leah, Superman looked puzzled and asked, "Why are you going against me? What good will it do you to help him?" Ares chuckled softly, "I am the god of war, Carl. If this world were free of conflict, wouldn't I lose the source of my power? I naturally won't allow that to happen, I see." Then Superman smiled knowingly, his face darkened, and with a bang, he charged towards Leah and the others. Thunder, with Ares as his power bank, Leah's divine power and thunder were inexhaustible. He thrust his hands forward, and thousands of lightning bolts converged into a bolt as thick as a bowl. A divine lightning spear. A clatter. A faint blue light illuminated the surroundings. Superman's pupils constricted, and his hair stood on end. At such close range, even with super speed and super reflexes, he couldn't avoid it. Boom! The divine lightning spear struck Superman's chest, and a terrifying wave of energy rippled out. Lightning and thunder roared between heaven and earth, and a thunderous explosion erupted. Clatter, kid, one more, Ares' voice echoed from midair. He floated in midair, sword in hand pointing at the dark clouds. At that moment, the lightning of the heavens and earth obeyed his command. Leah glanced at him, immediately understanding. He also soared into the air, hands open wide, frantically absorbing the thunder power from the clouds. This was divine power. Free divine power, as much as you want. The divine power was inexhaustible, and Leah's strong body could withstand even 10 times the force. This was Leah's advantage over Ares. Leah raised his right hand, and thunder rolled from heaven and earth. Thunderbolt, the tide turned, and this time, Leah's eyes clutched locked onto Superman. When the ball of thunder in his hand gathered to a diameter of over 10 meters, it became almost impossible to control, on the verge of exploding. Of course, this wasn't the limit of Thunderbolt's power, it could be even stronger. However, Leah's mental strength was limited, and he couldn't maintain its stability. Before he finished speaking, he swung his hands downward. Thunderbolt, over 10 meters in diameter, thundered down. Chapter 195, Ares' Advice. The instant the thunderbolt struck, a web of countless lightning bolts descended with a crashing roar. Superman, even as Leah waved his hand, had suddenly retreated, flung hundreds of meters away. The man in black before he was truly uncanny. He had never suffered more at his hands than at any other time in his life. Thunderbolt is inherently a highly unstable energy source. The sheer force of so much thunder must have been combined, and its explosive power was undeniable. Suddenly, the already shattered earth cracked again. A violent shockwave swept through, and Superman steadied himself, raising his hands to shield himself. His cape rustled in the wind, and layers of raging lightning in the air sliced through his skin. Asshole, Superman had never been so embarrassed. Even against Doomsday, he could have faced him head-on. For him, a fistfight was the true romance of a man. So, his fight with Leah was incredibly frustrating. It took a while for the explosion of the thunderbolt divine punishment to subside, the shockwaves fading, the lightning fading. The air was thick with the smell of burning electricity, and the ground was affected for thousands of meters. The center of the blast had flattened out a smooth, hemispherical crater. After recovering, Superman looked up, but Leah and Ares were nowhere to be seen. This filled Superman with pent-up anger, with nowhere to vent. A moment later, a beautiful figure flew over from the distance. She slowly landed beside Superman and asked with concern, "Carl, I can sense Ares' presence." "Where are they?" "They've run away," Superman uttered briefly, his expression reluctant to speak. Wonder Woman didn't ask any further questions. She scanned the surrounding area for traces of divine power, finding no other clues. Ares' concealment was truly masterful. "Carl, do you need me to send out the army to locate them?" Wonder Woman suggested. Superman shook his head. "Black Adam's been sending messages, but I haven't had time to reply. It seems he's captured the Flash, Shazam, and the Atom. With these guys here, Batman won't show up." Batman, despite his treacherous nature, never abandons his teammates. As for Leah, Superman's only concern was that he'd escape back to his own universe. He added, "Have Cyborg keep a close eye on them for now, and don't let anyone who stowed away escape." "Got it," Wonder Woman replied, hand on his computer desktop, very haggard. Nearby, Harley Quinn and Killer Frost chattered heartlessly. "Hey, Mr. Lee, you're finally back. Batboy almost thought you were dead out there." Harley Quinn, seeing Lee return, gave him a wink. Batman looked up, narrowed his eyes, and stared at Ares behind Lee. "Who is this guy, mortal? Watch your words." Ares' voice was deep and imbued with irresistible authority. Lee glared at him and explained, "He's Diana's brother, Ares, the god of war." Ares, Batman, Harley Quinn, and Killer Frost were all taken aback, but didn't think much of it. After all, Wonder Woman's origins were no secret, and Ares' name was well known. They just didn't expect to see the god of war in person today. "What's the god of war doing here? Is he trying to start a war?" Killer Frost asked, frowning. It's true, Ares' reputation is generally not good. Hearing someone question him, Ares' mental power expanded slightly. "Please put away your hostility, Mom. I am not your enemy. On the contrary, I am here to help you." Batman frowned and looked at Leah with a questioning look. "What's going on?" "The god of war is now worried that the world is without conflict, so he is no longer worthy of his name," Leah explained briefly, believing that with the intelligence of the people present, they should easily understand. He asked the question he wanted to ask, "Bat, how is the time tunnel? What about the Flash, Shazam, the Atom, and others?" Although he already had a guess, Leah still waited for the final answer. The time tunnel failed to open. Black Adam, Green Lantern Hawkgirl, and others attacked the cutting-edge technology laboratory. The Flash and others were captured. "Oh, are you kidding me? Without the Flash, relying solely on Leah's unreliable speed force, it would take forever to travel through time and space. Now, not only are reinforcements from their own universe unable to arrive, but they can't even return home. How can this be? Bat, tell me about your plan B?" "I know you always have a plan B," Leah asked seriously. "Plan B?" Batman's expression changed, and he shook his head. "I don't have one, so what do we do next?" Leah asked again. Batman was silent for a moment. He had been thinking about a rescue plan since his return, but they were trapped in the Watchtower, Superman's headquarters. How to rescue them? How to rescue them? Ares, standing nearby, coughed lightly and said, "I have an idea." "Batman, didn't you develop the Superman potion before? Why not make another one? If we give it to this person," Ares pointed at Leah, hesitating for a long time before suddenly remembering that he didn't know Leah's name. "Avenger," Harley Quinn quickly reminded him. "Yes, that's right. Give this Avenger the Superman potion," Ares continued. Upon hearing about the Superman potion, Leah raised his eyebrows. "Is there such a thing?" "Of course, the research of this potion is also thanks to my whispering in Batman's ear, which gave him a lot of inspiration," Ares said proudly, but Batman suddenly stood up, grabbed Ares' armor, and tried to lift it up angrily. But he couldn't lift Ares. The scene was very awkward for a while. Ares gently pushed Batman and said coldly, "Why, you dare to challenge the gods? Go to hell with your gods. I won't use the Superman potion, not in this life. The Superman potion is, and, why are you so excited, Bat? Yesterday's 6 updates emptied my save drafts again, and there are no drafts left. I'm so sad. Let me take a break for 2 days." Chapter 196, Superman Potion. Batman snorted heavily and sat down in silence. As for Ares, he crossed his arms over his chest, his expression as if to say, "I'm a god, I don't bother with a mortal like you." Harley Quinn sighed, becoming serious for once, and began to explain. "Let me explain. The Superman potion was originally a serum developed by LexCorp using Kryptonian corpses. However, before the research could make any progress, Superman discovered it. At that time, Superman and LexCorp had a huge argument, and the two of them almost broke off their friendship. Then LexCorp suddenly had a change of heart. To save Superman's friendship, he destroyed all the Kryptonian serum. At least, he did it publicly. Later, when Lois got into trouble, Batman sneaked into LexCorp's secret warehouse and found some serum that had not been destroyed. He planned to make a new batch. Didn't it succeed? Leah asked. If the Superman serum research had been successful, history wouldn't be the same now. Harley Quinn shook her head at first, but then nodded. You can say it was a success or a failure. Batman took the serum and used the Kryptonian technology in Superman's Fortress of Solitude to successfully develop a complete Superman potion. But at this moment, Superman rushed over. Superman wanted to destroy the potion, and the two sides clashed. Green Arrow tried to stop Superman, but he burned his heart with his heat vision. Many people died in the battle that day. Can you understand that kind of despair? Facing Superman, that kind of powerless despair. Just when Superman angrily wanted to strangle Batman's neck, Alfred took the lead and drank half a bottle of Superman potion. Alfred, who was in his 60s, gained powerful strength after drinking the potion. He even successfully blocked Superman on his own, allowing Batman to leave with the remaining half bottle of potion. At this point, Batman was no longer silent. He continued, but the Superman potion has a flaw. Alfred only fought Superman for 5 minutes before his body collapsed and he died. He suddenly gained immense power, a power no ordinary person could withstand, not just ordinary people, but superpowers too. He smells like Krypton, and more importantly, he's a god. Eris pushed Lee in front of Batman and said, Batman, Harley, and the others were momentarily stunned. What the hell? The smell of Krypton? A god? Eris then asked, by the way, I forgot to ask you, what's your godhood? Lee's godhood came from Eris in another universe. I killed you to take it, Lee muttered inwardly. He even wondered if killing Eris again would significantly increase his divine power. The feeling of endless divine power during his final ultimate attack today filled Lee with longing. With the infinite divine power chi activated, he wouldn't even need the Superman potion. A few hundred thunderbolts could crush Superman. The Avengers are from another world, said curtly, his expression as if to let you figure out the rest. Eris was too embarrassed to ask more questions, as too many questions would only lower his composure, so he put on an expression that said, so that's how it is. I should have thought of it earlier. Another world? That makes sense, Eris said, nodding involuntarily. Lee frowned. That makes sense. If Eris weren't on his side, an ally, he would have wanted to kill the god and take his godhood. Batman studied Leah, recalling the battle between Leah and Superman today. When Leah's use of Thunderbolt power had preconceived the idea that Leah was a superpower. But thinking back on the details of the battle, the two men still had many similarities. So you're a Kryptonian? Batman asked. Leah gave an awkward smile. You can think of me as a hybrid, half human, half Kryptonian, half Proteus, Eris reminded. From the moment you possessed godhood, you were no longer mortal. Harley Quinn's eyes darted restlessly over Leah, her thoughts unclear. After a moment, Batman shook his head. No, what if the Avengers are dead too? Then we're truly hopeless. Leah didn't like the sound of this. If the Superman potion could grant her immense power, even if she ultimately exploded, as long as Leah defeated Superman and received the 30% reward for optimizing her Kryptonian genes, then it would be a real win. Are you kidding me, Batman? Do you think I'm afraid of death? If I were, I wouldn't have traveled all the way across the universe to come here to fight Superman. Have you ever thought about what I'm doing this for? Leah slammed the table and spoke righteously and passionately. Batman and Eris were both stunned, looking at Leah with complicated eyes. Indeed, now that Superman has established a Superman regime, the entire world is under his rule. Led the rebellion against Superman, and his Wayne group was naturally the focus of the Superman regime. In other words, Batman has lost his financial power, status, and reputation. Before overthrowing Superman, he could not offer Leah any compensation. Are you really willing to try the Superman potion? Even if the result is death? Batman asked again with a serious expression. Leah weighed the matter in his mind. He didn't want to be trapped in this universe forever. Without reinforcements, they had to rely on themselves. So, Leah said, don't forget my Kryptonian heritage. Others might die, but I might not. And as long as it means defeating Superman, I'm willing to take any risk." Batman was silent for a long time, then raised his head and looked at Leah with a piercing gaze. "Give me 2 days. In 2 days, we'll go to the Watchtower to rescue them." Batman said this, then stood up and headed deeper into the Batcave. Seeing his goal achieved, Eris also wanted to leave. "In 2 days, I'll help you a little." This guy had a good plan. If Leah and his team had a chance to defeat Superman, he would naturally show up. If Leah and his team were no match, Eris would not be so foolish as to go along and die with him. "Wait a minute, don't leave yet. I have some questions I want to ask you." Seeing Eris was about to leave, Leah quickly stopped him. He had many questions about the conversion and application of divine power. After all, no one taught him. Diana saw herself solely as a warrior, and Leah's independent exploration was bound to lead to some detours. Now that she had the opportunity to meet such an ancient Greek god, she naturally sought his advice. Furthermore, perhaps because the god felt they shared a common godhood, Leah unexpectedly discovered that Ares's friendship with her had reached 70% of the normal range. In reality, to an ancient god like Ares, mortals were inferior beings. Only another god could speak to him on an equal footing. With Leah possessing godhood and Ares's approval, his naturally friendship increased without any effort. Once he reached friendly, Leah would receive the God of War card. Ares, the god of war, possessed greater overall strength than Shazam. Shazam derived his power from the 6 Greek gods, while Ares himself was an ancient Greek god, perhaps even one of the strongest. After hearing Leah's request, Ares considered it and didn't refuse. "Alright, feel free to ask any questions you have. After all, the stronger Leah's power, the greater his chances of defeating Superman." P.S. The setting of the Superman potion is not based on the comics, but on this book. If an ordinary person can take a green pill and gain Superman's strength without any side effects, then Superman's power is too cheap. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197, The Medicine Cannot Be Stopped. "I really can't run any longer. The other side. I mean, their universe's connection is broken," Barry explained, panting heavily as he removed his suit's hood. Before him, Superman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, and the others exchanged bewildered glances. "Their universe's connection is broken. What does that mean?" "The space-time tunnel can't be opened." Diana was visibly agitated. Leah had been in another universe for 3 or 4 days, with no news at all. How could she not be anxious? It wasn't another city or another country, it was another universe. Cyborg, operating a computer in a cutting-edge technology lab, shook his head and said, "There's a problem with this space-time ripple connection. If I'm not mistaken, something's wrong with their universe. Maybe my other universe self discovered it." Sigh, it was a bit much to ask Leah to deal with me. "I should have gone instead," Superman sighed, feeling somewhat guilty. Diana pinched her brows. "Even if something happens to them, we can't just sit there and wait for them to die, Barry. If you in another universe can lead people across the universe, you can do it too, right?" Barry was confused. "I can't do it," Cyborg immediately explained. "To allow the Speed Force to accumulate enough kinetic energy to break through time and space, Barry would need to reach a speed of at least Mach 30. If he wants to travel through time and space, that speed would have to be at least doubled. Of course, this is just a theoretical value. The specific situation depends on the actual situation." "So, what do you mean?" Diana's eyes flickered between Cyborg and the Flash. "I mean, Barry can't run that fast." "So far," Cyborg said without hesitation. Superman rubbed his chin. "What if Barry and I were running at the same time, and when he reached his limit, I threw him out, giving him a boost? Would that achieve the required speed?" Cyborg simulated Superman's scenario. "We might be able to reach that speed, but Barry's time travel relies on the Speed Force to penetrate the barriers of space and time, so it's hard to analyze, but you can try." "Then try." Superman waved at Barry and headed towards the particle accelerator test site. Barry looked hopeless. "At least give me a break." In the Injustice universe, 2 days later, Batman approached Lee with a metal briefcase, placed it on the table, and opened it. "There are 2 doses of the potion here. The tube of green liquid is half strength, and this small green pill is full strength. Lee, you can try the half strength first. If it works, take the full strength. To be on the safe side, Batman had prepared 2 doses of the Superman potion. He made some improvements and optimizations based on the last half of the Superman potion. That was all. After all, the Batcave lacked Kryptonian technology and advanced scientific research equipment, making further research on the Superman potion impossible. Lee took the briefcase and asked, "How much Superman potion is left?" "This is the last one. We've run out of Kryptonian serum, and some key ingredients are hard to come by," Batman said, shaking him. "Then let me see the effects of the Superman potion." Without a word, Lee took the half-strength tube and poured it into his mouth. Batman saw this and tried to stop him, but he was too slow. "Idiot. Who told you to drink it now? Wait until you face Superman." Batman watched with a cold sweat, fearing that Lee would explode and die. "Are you just being so careless, or are you just courting death?" Watching Lee pour the entire tube of potion into his mouth and down it in one gulp, Batman sighed heavily and could only wait and see. Lee put down the empty tube and burped. He felt a burning sensation in his stomach, as if he'd drunk 100 times the strength of industrial alcohol. What a strong after effect. "But it's true, I can clearly feel it myself, like a sun burning in my stomach." Lee's body was burning, and beads of sweat oozed from his forehead. Batman's heart was in his throat. When Alfred drank the potion, his skin also burned and sweat poured down. As expected, without the system to help absorb it, it was a bit of a stretch to achieve superhuman strength on his own. Fortunately, Lee had 22% of his base Kryptonian blood in his system. Although he felt uncomfortable, he was not in danger of death. Looking at the system interface again, a tube of half-strength potion had actually increased his Kryptonian blood by 5 percentage points. Lee's Kryptonian blood was now 27%. "Huh? Not bad, not bad. I think I can handle this." Lee stood up, but his body was a little shaky. He raised his foot and stomped on the ground with a loud clack, creating a large hole. Batman saw Lee staggering and was about to reach over to help him. Then he saw a dent in the concrete floor from Lee's footsteps. His outstretched hand froze in midair, and he quickly retracted it as if struck by an electric shock. Boom! The table in Lee's room exploded, and he fell, slamming headfirst into the wall, which he had dented. He struggled to get up, but his hand, reaching out, shattered the entire wall with a snap. Harley Quinn and Killer Frost rushed over. "What's wrong? What's wrong? Did Superman break in?" Batman's face was filled with rage. He pointed at Lee, who is like a human demolition machine, and said, "This guy's lost control of what about today's rescue plan?" Harley Quinn pouted, waving her hammer. "Wait a little longer. He's like this." Ugh, Batman felt exhausted. Boom. Lee accidentally flew out and crashed directly through the roof of the Batcave, Batman sending countless rubble tumbling down from the ground, leaving on the verge of tears. He slapped his face and said, "Let's get ready to move on to the next Batcave." 3 hours later. The lead alloy doorway of the new Batcave. "Bat, open the door, I know you're in there, open it for me," Lee shouted from the Batcave entrance. Soon, a small window opened above the door, and Batman's half-face looked at Lee at the doorway. "Can you control your power?" "Of course. Are you sure there are no pursuers and that Superman hasn't discovered you?" "Is he discovering you?" "Eris taught me his family's invisibility technique. Even if Superman stood right in front of me, he wouldn't be able to detect me. If you don't open the door, I'll smash it down." Seeing Lee's firm words, Batman frowned and released the safety catch. Chapter 198, A World Without Sin. Entering the Batcave, Lee discovered Eris was there. Or rather, he'd been secretly watching Lee and the others, but he was hiding so well that it was difficult to find without careful observation. Because Eris viewed Lee as an equal to God, their friendship level surpassed friendly soon after they met. However, after reaching friendly, it stopped rising. Clearly, their friendship was based on their shared enemy, Superman. Once Superman was defeated, their alliance would be in jeopardy. "Lee's here, Batman. Tell me about your plan." Eris wasn't wearing his brown-black armor, but was dressed in a suit and tie, like a successful businessman. Lee glanced at him. This Eris looked much younger than his own universe. "Our plan is simple. I'll casually show up on the street and be vaguely captured by surveillance cameras. Superman and the others will quickly discover my whereabouts and lure Superman into my trap. Eris will follow me, and will hold Superman back, As for Lee will fly to the watchtower, rescue Flash and the others, and then destroy the watchtower. This is crucial. Destroying the watchtower and the satellites will effectively disable one of the Justice League's eyes. The Justice League's eyes are satellites, and Superman rarely uses his X-ray vision to search for targets himself. The reason is simple: Superman has established a regime, supreme over all nations, and is the leader of his regime. Leaving everything to the leader would make his subordinates appear incompetent. Specifically requests it. Cyborg and the others handle many tasks on his behalf. Rescue Flash and the others, destroy the watchtower, and we'll go to war with Superman. Batman announced his plan. Lee pondered for a moment and asked, what about Superman's army? Don't forget, he's the world leader now, with a loyal army under his command. If you don't kill the army, they will kill you. War is no joke. Insisting on a principle of non-killing in war is tantamount to seeking death. Batman had already considered this. He sighed, I'll send Harley Quinn to Iron Mountain Prison, where some people who have committed minor crimes are imprisoned. Superman will execute all the prisoners with serious crimes. Those with less serious crimes, while not sentenced to death, will spend the rest of their lives in prison. Superman didn't enact any special laws, but some extreme fanatics, under the banner of Superman, would sentence anyone who ran a red light to life imprisonment unless they paid a huge bail. So you want Harley to lead those prisoners in rebellion? Lee was a little surprised. She hadn't expected Batman to have such a trick up his sleeve. Batman nodded. That's about right. Leonard Snart, the leader of the Iron Mountain prison inmates, and his brother Mick Rory are some pretty impressive figures. With them leading the inmates in rebellion, they should be able to stand against Superman's army. To eradicate war, Superman abolished the world's most powerful military weaponry, leaving his army less formidable. Hearing the name Leonard Snart, Lee was taken aback at first, but quickly recovered. Not many people knew this guy's true identity, but his nickname was a different story. He was nicknamed Captain Cold, a highly intelligent criminal with strong principles. We're in it for money and to kill the Flash. In the end, though, he found unable to bring himself to kill the Flash, much to the jealousy of his brother, Mick Heatwave. Snart is certainly a character, Lee smiled knowingly. He couldn't participate in high-level combat, but he could handle this kind of mortal combat with flying colors. Then let's follow this plan, several people agreed. Watchtower. Superman teleported directly from the world government, casually throwing the robes of a ruler, representing supreme power, to the ground. Batman and the others haven't made any movement yet. Hearing Superman's question, Cyborg slightly. Superman, I've been monitoring all the city's surveillance. Today, a damaged Batcave was discovered in the southern suburbs of Philadelphia. It seems a small-scale battle has broken out. I've locked down the approximate location. As soon as their men show their faces, they'll be detected. Bring up the Batcave footage. Superman walked over to the screen. Cyborg tapped the interface a few times, and a large dent immediately appeared on the screen. That was the one Lee had made that morning. This Batcave uses lead alloy and some anti-reconnaissance technology, making it difficult to detect using previous detection methods. This is my negligence. But rest assured, I've sent people down to collect samples and will soon develop a solution. Superman smiled. Don't worry, you've done a good job. I've given this old job friend enough leniency. Now, it's time to settle things. Cyborg didn't respond. Although he missed a former Superman, Cyborg wasn't a sentimental person. He analyzed the current situation rationally. Choosing Superman's side, Superman's ideals accounted for 35%, his own strengths accounted for 62%, and the remaining percentage was Batman's success rate. Suddenly, an inconspicuous surveillance video feed was transmitted to Cyborg's processor. After 1,000th of a second of analysis, the footage's emergency level was raised to 2 levels. This is, Cyborg waved his hand, and a short half-second surveillance video clip appeared on the screen. A dark figure flashed across the screen. Bruce. Although the video flashed by so quickly, both Superman and Cyborg saw it clearly, as if it were being played frame by frame. Comparison and analysis of the facial features show that it is indeed Bruce Wayne. The footage shows, he bought controlled drugs in a rural black market in Philadelphia. Cyborg analyzed a lot of things from this 0.5-second surveillance footage. Superman on the side had a cold look in his eyes. After waiting for a moment, Superman did not say anything. Cyborg understood and sent people to capture him. The criminal Batman has been found. The coordinates have been made public. Wonder Woman, Black Adam, and the nearby troops, go and capture him immediately. After receiving the order, the space transmission of the Watchtower was activated, and Wonder Woman and Black Adam were teleported to the target coordinates. Superman, what are you thinking about? Cyborg asked when he saw Superman lost in thought. My mind is a little confused. Cyborg, please help me sort out my thoughts, Superman said lightly. Cyborg didn't dare to disobey the order, so he said, Batman, according to my analysis, the probability of killing is 40%, and the probability of not killing him is 60%. Haha, I really don't want to kill him, Superman laughed at himself, but his expression turned cold in an instant. I listened to Superman's roar, he didn't dare to say a word. He couldn't help but complain in his heart, this is how deep the love. The deeper the hatred. Chapter 199, God of War takes action. Wonder Woman and Black Adam were teleported to a small town in Philadelphia. Batman noticed them the moment they appeared. Damn it, why isn't Superman here? He was very regretful. As for Ares next to him, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's not Superman. Superman's army had already put the entire town under martial law on the streets, and a large force was rushing here from their military base. Wonder Woman flew in the air, her divine power covering the entire town. She soon discovered Batman's location. Ares could hide his presence, but Batman couldn't. The detection of divine power was not something that could be blocked by the current technology on Earth. Moreover, Batman's energy and blood were so much higher than those of ordinary people. He was like a lamp in the dark night. It was difficult not to be noticed. We've found Batman's location. Inside the factory southwest of town, there seems to be another hidden superpower, though his abilities aren't very impressive, Wonder Woman casually remarked. Black Adam grinned, let's go, time to capture this bat. With that, the two flew to their target factory. Before they even landed, two nearby ultrasonic transmitters began blasting ultra-high-frequency sound waves into the sky. Buzz! These ultra-high-frequency waves were completely harmless, only infuriating Wonder Woman and the others. A trifle, Black Adam raised his hand, and two bolts of lightning shot out, instantly destroying the ultrasonic transmitters. Hidden within the factory, Batman sighed. Without Superman, the red solar lamps were useless. While they could disable Superman's powers, this was Earth, and even with them, they wouldn't have much of an effect. Unless they could block out the sun in the sky. A great idea, but implementing it would be incredibly difficult. Batman prepared for battle, without a second thought, activated his Nightcrawler 4.3 combat armor, crashing through the factory wall with a bang. The two men in the sky. Killer Frost also took action, albeit reluctantly. Ares reminded her of her fallen companions, Shockwave Cisco Ramon, Firestorm, and her true self, Caitlin Snow. Indeed, after watching her companions die one by one, Caitlin Snow's personality disappeared, leaving only Killer Frost. Boom. Boom. Wonder Woman raised her divine shield, shielding herself from the gunfire and icicles. Black Adam, breaking through the layers of black fog, descended from the sky, his hands entwined with dazzling lightning. Mortals, you have blasphemed the majesty of God. Die! Batman remained calm in the face of Black Adam, even wanting to laugh. He still had an ancient Greek god to fight. How could a mere mortal, merely borrowing the power of 6 gods, truly think he was a god? What a psycho. As expected, as Black Adam's lightning struck, Ares, the god of war, suddenly appeared. Facing the two bolts of lightning, he sneered, stretched out his hand, and grasped the air. Crack! He crushed the lightning bolts to dust. Black Adam's heart trembled at the sight of this man appearing out of thin air, for he sensed the aura of a true god within him. Like Wonder Woman, he was a true god. Brother, Wonder Woman frowned slightly. She had indeed defeated the god of war in their previous battle, but she hadn't been able to truly kill him. When Zod invaded, Ares suddenly resurrected, his power suddenly increasing dramatically. Not to mention Doomsday, Brainiac's invasion. After a series of events, Ares' power reached unprecedented heights. If it weren't for a superhuman standing in his way, he would have rebuilt Mount Olympus in the face of modern civilization and become the new king of the gods. Diana, goddess of love and peace, why do you obey a man's orders? Shouldn't you, as noble as you are, be in control of everything? Ares' words were, quite bluntly, a response. You're a god, please don't be a bootlicker. Thank you. Diana's face was stern, and she angrily declared, "My business is none of your business." Before she finished speaking, she swung the Vulcan sword at Ares. Black Adam, realizing he was being ignored by Ares, was furious. "Asshole, you're no match for me." With that, Black Adam raised his hand, and 2 bolts of magic lightning struck Ares again. Ares, whose combat power had skyrocketed in the past 2 years, was now floating. He glanced at Black Adam from the corner of his eye and snorted, "Stupid ass." Then he reached out, condensed the Sword of War, and swung it with a single blow. Boom! Magical lightning exploded, and Ares swept directly to Black Adam's side, slashing towards Diana's Vulcan sword. Clang clang clang. In an instant, the two clashed, and the air rumbled with thunder, a deafening roar. Ares's divine power had greatly increased, and Diana had also made significant progress. From the moment they met, the two were evenly matched. Black Adam, observing the powerful surge of divine power emanating from the sky, felt a bitter taste in his mouth. This was the gap, this was the battle between gods. Only after magic had undergone a qualitative transformation could it become divine power. Even if he had drawn upon the power of the 6 Egyptian gods, he ultimately lacked his own godhood god. Unable to participate in the battle of true gods, Black Adam turned his gaze to Nightcrawler's 4.3 combat armor and Killer Frost. Never mind. Since he couldn't defeat Ares, he might as well bully the weaklings. Black Adam refocused his magic and began attacking Batman and Killer Frost. Meanwhile, a riot broke out at Iron Mountain Prison, and Harley Quinn smuggled a Sub-Zero and the heat gun into the prison. Captain Cold, with a gun in hand, boasted the power of a world in his grasp. Together with his brother, Heatwave Mick, he launched a prison mutiny. Countless prisoners burst free, and Harley Quinn distributed Batman's hidden cache of ammunition and weapons. The uprising against Superman had begun. Leah, using his divine power to isolate himself, flew steadily through space. He casually glanced at the situation below. Batman's situation was easy to describe. Ares, the Pot King, was quite impressive. If he weren't so powerful, he would have no problem taking on Wonder Woman. Captain Cold's uprising was truly exciting, especially since Leah was a restless person. If only this guy could roar out "Orcs will never be slaves," this uprising would be perfect. Leah smiled, then suddenly remembered the phrase after "Orcs will never be slaves." What was it? As his thoughts wandered, he looked up and realized he had reached the edge of the watchtower. How do you perform the transfiguration spell? Leah had spent the past 2 days learning a lot about the use of divine power from Ares, in layman's terms, spells and magic. Besides stealth, the most practical form of magic was transfiguration. He planned to transform into Superman, infiltrate the group, and rescue the Flash. First, mentally outline the details of the person I want to transform into, then conjure him with divine power. Leah concentrated and began to perform the transfiguration spell. Chapter 200, Boss. Imagine Superman's appearance, imagine Superman's aura, imagine Superman's movements, demeanor, and aura. Then, use divine power to create a stable mimicry around me. Leah performed the transformation technique step by step. Superman's appearance gradually became clear in his mind. Every movement, every look was vivid. Then, it was time to control the divine power. Now all I can think of is Clark. Why does this feel so strange? Even if this is a transformation technique, it's still so strange. Once this thought took hold of Leah's mind, he couldn't shake it. His already wild imagination became even more uncontrollable. Unable to concentrate, his divine power naturally became disordered. Even the hidden position that had once enveloped him began to destabilize. No, I can't let this wander anymore. I have to become Clark immediately. Leah tried to clear his mind of the chaotic thoughts, but the more he tried to ignore them, the more his thoughts became active. From the Superman of the Injustice universe came their own Diana, and from their Diana, he thought of his own innocent daughter. Finally, the innocent girl in Leah's mind smiled, captivatingly beautiful. Wow! A hidden contact was made, and Leah's figure instantly appeared in the universe. The watchtower was immediately alerted, and someone flew out to investigate. Wonder Woman, why are you back? The soldier in the space combat suit saluted respectfully upon seeing Leah. Wonder Woman, Leah's dark face seemed. What the hell? Didn't I want to become Superman? How come? Looking down, she saw her chest was indeed a blanket of white. Her clothes had long since transformed into an Amazon suit, revealing her slender waist, a brown skirt, and long legs. Oh my god. I had become Wonder Woman. Eris had said that transformations would require several attempts at first, but Leah refused to believe it, and then, Wonder Woman, is there a problem? The soldier, seeing Leah's grim expression, thought something had happened, and asked nervously. Leah's lips twitched, and she glared at him with a murderous glare. It's okay, she said, then flew into the watchtower. The soldier, sensing something was amiss, pulled out a device and scanned it at Wonder Woman. It was a small instrument that recorded the aura of each Justice League member, allowing them to identify their identities. Seeing him use the device to check his identity, Leah was initially nervous, intending to kill the soldier instantly. But to her surprise, the device failed to detect Leah as an imposter. The energy frequency is normal. I'm sorry, Wonder Woman, this is just a routine check. The soldier put away the device, smiled apologetically, and returned to his post, ignoring Leah. Slipping past the guards at the gate, Leah flew directly into the watchtower. A scan with his X-ray vision revealed the Flash and his companion's location. With a Wonder Woman look, Leah had no trouble moving inside. Passing a corner unobstructed by surveillance cameras, Leah touched his lower body, feeling a sense of relief. Luckily, my little brother is here, otherwise it would be really embarrassing, but then he thought, could this be the legendary? Leah felt like crying. He had no tears in his heart. He had made such a great sacrifice to rescue the Flash and the others. His sadness is really beyond the understanding of outsiders. He came to the watchtower prison with a wooden face, and the guard saluted Leah as usual without asking any questions. In the prison cell, the Flash was huddled in the corner, looking very depressed. Shazam and the Atom were communicating through a layer of glass. As soon as they saw Leah come in, they tacitly shut their mouths and stopped talking. The three of them looked at Leah with great anger. Leah's face darkened, and he thought to himself, damn it. These three bastards dared to glare at me. Do you know how difficult a decision it was to save you? Of course, he couldn't say this out loud. With a serious expression, Leah addressed the guard beside him. Superman wants to see them. Release them. The guard froze for a moment, a look of embarrassment in his eyes. Ms. Wonder Woman, I can't release them. What? You don't even listen to me? Or do you dare to go against Superman's will, outwardly, but directed solely at that guard? Even a tiny bit of imposing aura was too much for a mortal to withstand. The guard trembled with fear, unable to even think normally. Instead, he cried with a mournful expression, no, no, no. How dare I go against your and Superman's wishes? The password to this special cell is known only to you and the core members of the Justice League. Leah's gaze remained unchanged, but a chorus of rage raced through his mind. Only the core members of the Justice League knew the password. What was he supposed to do? Superman and Cyborg were in the control room, and Hawkgirl was nearby. What were the odds of a violent prison break? But without a suit, the Atom couldn't survive in space. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any need for such fuss. He could simply break through the superpowered prison. Leah glared at the guard, terrifying the mortal. Then, slowly approaching the cell, he whispered, that's right. Only the core members of the Justice League know the password. Everyone knows the password. He stared at the keyboard, which had 9 digits followed by a hash mark, his thoughts racing. This prison was quite old, clearly built before Superman and Batman split. The question was, who set the code? If it was Superman, they could try Lois's birthday. If it was Batman, then Superman's birthday. No problem. Just as Leah hesitated, the prison gates opened again, and Hawkgirl walked in. Hawkgirl's wings twitched, and she looked directly at Leah. Wonder Woman, aren't you going to capture Batman? Batman is just a mortal, why would I need to do it myself? Leah folded her arms over her chest, trying to project the disdainful expression of this cosmic Wonder Woman, all the while wondering if she could trick Hawkgirl into helping her open the cage. Inside, Flash and the others' eyes widened at Hawkgirl's mention of Batman out his whereabouts. Shazam knocked on Barry's glass. Superman is going to catch us all and kill us. Barry, how about we resist before we die? Ray Palmer, who was squatting in the cell at the edge, shook his head. Don't even mention that you can't break out of this superpowered prison. Even if you can get out, this is Superman's base. Are you sure you can resist? Ignoring the three people, Hawkgirl said to Leah with a serious face, Wonder Woman, come here, I have something to tell you. Before she finished speaking, she didn't care what Leah thought. and walked straight out the door. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.